What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Another episode of Heavy Metallurgy. It's Friday. It's episode 240, and it's time to get
sodomized.
I was wondering if anybody was going to pick up on that. Thanks to our friend Alan, who put that in our head. To
all of our viewers, maybe kick in with the super chats tonight, because we're definitely getting demonetized within the first few minutes.
We're going to test that theory tonight. Well, I'm surrounded by three other awesome gentlemen. Of course, my co-host, Alan. How are you?
I am here. It's been a pretty crazy couple of weeks and a very, very busy afternoon in the collecting world with stuff and things going on. But yeah, happy to be here. And yeah, this is a topic we've wanted to do with these two guys for quite a while. So I'm glad it's finally become a reality.
Yeah, this has been talked about for a very long time. Very long time.
Yeah, we've been trying to work this onto the calendar for most of 2025. So yeah, it has come together.
Devon, it's good to see you. What's been going on?
I just did my 2025 video, so go watch that if you're curious.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you moved. That was no small thing.
That was hell. I'm glad that's over.
Moving sucks, especially as your collection grows. It gets worse and worse the older you get.
And moving that shop too was a nightmare.
Yeah. To those who don't know, Devon is also an instrument builder. He builds harps for family business. So yeah, they've had a massive exodus, and they're at the end of it. So it's good to see you. It's been a while since you've been on.
Yep.
Jurgen, good to see you as always. What's been shaking?
Everything is normal. Busy, lazy, busy again, and then lazy, and then on heavy metallurgy.
What's up, Ed? Good to see you, man. Is it snowing over there? It's snowing like crazy here. He lives just an hour away from me.
Oh, cool.
Well, it's good to see you, Jurgen. I think your last video was your sacrifice ranking. Was that the last thing you've done?
Yeah.
Very fair ranking, by the way. Number one, and then 4 or 5 twos. You know, that's fair.
That was just honest.
Yep. I would say, though, I think the ones I condemn is my least favorite of theirs. But I still need to spend a little more time with that one. But I don't know. Voice doesn't sound it's still good. The riffs are good, but his voice just isn't as aggressive as it is on the other stuff. But that's just me. I don't know. It's the only one I don't own. But yeah. Anyway, go check out these guys' channels. Links in the description for both of them. And tonight we're talking about Sodom.
Oh, before we jump in, Mara, I did want to let folks just say to Warhammers in the chat, and want to say thanks again. I got to be on a live stream with Lee and Shredbeard and Toasty last Sunday night. It was a ton of fun. So if folks have not checked that out, please go support them and their channel. They have a really fun live stream on Sunday nights. They do a lot of cool skits. It's just a really good time. Very high energy. So yes, please definitely go check that out. And Lee will point you in the right direction if you don't know where to look for that. Yes, Lee, so yeah, if you want to add that to the chat, that'd be great.
All right. And yeah, if anybody has nothing else to say, we're going to jump into this because we have some albums to get through. And we're going
I have one thing. The funny thing is, just a couple of weeks ago, this was released here in Germany. The Sodom book. Translated, it means born on coals because they came from the coal mining area from Germany. I read this book in one go, and literally 2 days or 3 days after I read that book, Alan wrote me that you wanted to do the Sodom stream. So perfect timing.
Perfect. Well, Jurgen's going to kind of be our guide tonight. He has hung out with these dudes, and his girlfriend knows them as well. So there's some stories, some behind-the-scenes stories that will be shared that obviously myself and Alan and Devon don't have a clue about. So,
would you say Jurgen's leading us into the Sodom tunnel, Marty?
I don't know about that. Chief Sodomizer.
If you wanna know everything about Sodom, you have to watch these 2 DVDs, The Lords of Depravities Part 1 and Part 2. Unfortunately, they are both in German. You can find both films on YouTube with subtitles, but I know it's always a bitch to watch something with subtitles. So the documentary on both DVDs together is about almost four hours.
Whoa, cool.
Wow, nice.
And it only goes up until 2010, I guess. So, yeah.
Well, they have quite a history to talk about. A lot of lineup changes, and a lot of stuff like that. We're going to access the Wikipedia bio for them and see if this coincides with anything or if there's anything wrong here. But Sodom is a German thrash band from Gelsenkirchen. Formed in 1982, they have gone through many lineup changes with bassist, vocalist Tom Angelripper, the only constant member. The band is currently composed of Angelripper, guitarist Frank Blackfire Gotzik, jeez, oh Pete's, who was a member of Sodom from 87 to 89 and rejoined in 2018, and York Segatz and drummer Tony Merkel. Sodom has been referred to as one of the big four of Teutonic thrash metal, along with Creator Destruction and Tankard. Sodom heavily influenced the German black metal scene and is regarded as a pioneer of death metal. Referred to as the most venom blackened of German three kings, Destruction and Creator being the other two, Sodom further merged thrash and death metal into a wicked and decadent sound. Some of that was really weird. That's why I read it stupid. Of course, I'm not real bright either. And there wasn't a lot of pictures, so I struggled with some of the big words, but we made it. We made it through. I got to say, just starting this whole thing off, usually we give it to the guests first, but this has been a very eye-opening week for me for the fact that I dropped off of Sodom. I think M16 was the last album I've heard by them. And I just wonder why. I wonder why. I listened to these albums. You know, we were talking back in the dugout beforehand. Alan said because people telling them they went kind of punk, and yeah, there are some moments in their catalog early on that I'm like, I don't know if I like the punk vocals, but that was back then. Now it works for me. Back then it didn't. But they're just one of those bands that never really had a Outcast or Endorama or Least Successful Human Cannonball in their catalog, which is pretty freaking impressive, really. Devon, since you're the youngest, you can go first here. Sodom.
You mean my entry point?
Yeah, your entry point. You know, what are your thoughts?
Did you just ask Devon his entry point for Sodom? Really, Marty? Really?
This is going to be one of those nights, folks. Get ready.
Ghost of Tipper Gore is going to come back from the grave and haunt us for this.
Yeah.
So the first one I heard was actually one you've never heard until this week. It was In War and Pieces from 2010, I think, when this came out. So, yep, I loved it right away. So, good record, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
So that was your turning point, and you're like, okay, this is a band I need to check out. Where did you go next? To the very beginning, or did you just kind of...
I went to Agent Orange and then Persecution Mania next.
Ah.
And then In the Sign of Evil and then the rest of them.
Right. All right, on. Jurgen, how about you?
Yeah, I got from an older friend in 1980, early 1987. I got In the Sign of Evil and Obsessed by Cruelty on tape from a friend. Then the Sodomy and Lust EP came out, and the first one I bought was Persecution Mania. So that was my starting point.
Yeah. Alan.
First one for me was Persecution Mania. I found a used cassette copy of it at a flea market. It was very clear the person had bought it because they thought it was going to be a Christian rock album, because all the other items they had for sale and all the other tapes and stuff they had for sale were Christian artists, and you could tell they very much had seen the name Sodom. Oh, that's from the Bible. It must be a Christian
Probably
rock
saw
thing.
Christ Passion on there and went, okay, well, maybe.
It wasn't the only tape I bought that day that they had obviously wandered into the wrong section of the Christian bookstore from. But yeah, I picked it up, liked it pretty much right off the bat. But like you, Marty, I always had trouble finding more Sodom records in the U.S. They were on Steamhammer for forever. And Steamhammer's never had the best U.S. distribution. Like we were talking before the show started. Sometimes, Metal Blade would distribute a couple of things here, or they might get, hooked up with something else there. But they've never had, really consistently available albums. And so it ended up being a case where I would find one or two, but then it would be years before I would stumble across something else. So their catalog's always been kind of jumbled up in my head because I'd find albums at random, but I wouldn't know, like, okay, is this one right after the previous one I found 3 years ago, or are there like two albums in between? So yeah, this has been a really good topic for me to research and finally untangle the discography in my head, figure out where some of the albums are supposed to fall, how many I missed in between certain ones. There are times where I'm like, oh, wait, I actually have like the first 6. I thought for sure I was missing 1 or 2 of those. But then I have these other 2 that are just like randomly from the middle of the catalog, and I thought they were like much closer to this other album. So yeah, it's been a very piecemeal experience with Sodom over the years, but like yourself, it's been a lot of quality stuff that I've gotten to check out in the past couple of weeks since we got serious about doing this topic. And yeah, they really do have a very, very consistent catalog, which I think we'll see that play out tonight.
I'm trying to think. It's really fuzzy at this point, but I remember hearing Sepulchral Voice song on a comp and being really kind of intrigued by that song. Very interesting, very strange track. And I can't remember. I got Persecution Mania on tape. I found Agent Orange at Camelot. I'm pretty sure I got Persecution Mania first. Or my friend bought it and I got a dub of it. One way or the other, it was all right around there. But I did buy Agent Orange when it came out. And I found this, Mortal Way of Live, on cassette at the pawn shop, of all places, for $1. I still have the tape. But this live album really blew me away. How great they sounded, and that unholy croak of Tom's, it just always really enchanted me on how good this band was. And then I heard Obsessed by Cruelty, which for me, I still struggle with that record. But we're going to get into that here. But yeah, like Alan, I would follow them because I loved Persecution Mania and Agent Orange. I spun those incessantly in my teenage years, high school. I mean, Agent Orange came out the year I graduated high school. Came out in '89. And just after that, the CDs would just kind of come up in stores used here and there, tapping the vein. And I would get them as they turn up, but they were just never on the shelf. And you start looking at them in catalogs, and they were super expensive import fees. And once the punk style kind of entered, they're always kind of half and half on a couple of these albums. It still sounded like Sodom. And then I was more bothered by it than I am now. Now I'm listening to this catalog. I'm like, holy shit. What was I thinking back then? But it kind of turned, I'm like, I'm not going to spend a pretty penny to get something that I might not like. But we'll get to the catalog. But there just came to a point where I stopped getting them. I got a couple as promos over the years, writing for stuff. And yeah, eye-opening experience this week. This is homework that was not a chore. It was kind of nice. I'm like thinking, oh God, 17 albums. Here we go. This is going to suck. But every album has been a cool learning experience and fun. It's been a surprising how good the band has maintained themselves. Like I said, they haven't had a screw up moment. There hasn't been a bad Sodom record. There just hasn't. They've all been, I think the closest they've got their Renewal album, but they don't have their Endorama. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
When Renewal came out, I hated it, and now I can listen to it and be like, I like it now. I know Jurgen said that's one that he liked. I think it was more of a success in Europe than it was here, but yeah. Anyway, how you guys want to do this? Jurgen, you want to start off with the?
Yep, Jurgen should definitely lead. He's got all the cool stuff to show.
Yeah. Okay. So Sodom started in '81. They released 2 demos, which I don't have. And then they got a contract from Steamhammer Records. They were sent to the studio to record a full-length album. This is not their debut album. This is their debut EP, as we all know. This should have been a full-length album, but the guys from the label, they aborted the sessions, so they only were able to record these 5 songs on here. So yeah. And this is why this came out on Devil's Game. It is a Steamhammer, but they were afraid to put it out on Steamhammer, so they basically created a label just to release that EP, and that is the only release on Devil's Game record.
Is there a more iconic album cover? I mean, really.
There's also a reissue on Wax Maniacs. Different photos. I always loved Tom's
The bowl cut.
Yeah, that's basically because on older band photos he had longer hair. He was at the in the army by that time.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And this is a cult release that basically every black metal band or black and thrash band refers to as an influence. There's even a tribute to In the Sign of Evil, where 6 bands covered the songs.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to go that deep into that because it's just an EP, but it's an important release, I guess.
Yeah, I
definitely
think so.
Noteworthy as a starting point.
Devin.
So we're doing In the Sign of Evil.
Yep.
Let me grab it. Give me 2 seconds. Hang on.
Someone didn't come to class prepared.
Alrighty, so if we were including this in the ranking, this would be pretty high up, and this is a lot better than Obsessed by Cruelty, I think. Spoiler alert, but
I agree. 100%.
we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite EPs of all time. Every song's awesome. Outbreak of Evil, they still play that live to this day. Witch and Metal, Blasphemer. Great EP, I agree. Definitely one of the best album covers too. So,
Yep.
84, super ahead of its time. Nobody sounded like this back then. So, definitely very important for first wave black metal.
Right on.
Yeah, and one of the best lyrics of all time. My life begins at midnight 12. I masturbate to kill myself.
Something lost in translation there, but I like it. Ellen.
Yeah, it's a classic EP as a debut. It's Sodom when they're still very, very raw, but they've always had a certain charm about them. It's funny because sometimes bands, when they're kind of at this developmental stage, it's easy to write them off. It's like, oh, that sucks. Oh, they don't know how to play. But then there's a few bands that manage to still catch on, despite not being that experienced yet. Hellhammer was a good example of that. And Sodom was too. So even though it's very rough, yeah, it's a classic release for sure. Now, for most of the rankings tonight, we didn't announce this, but at the end we'll each say our top 3 and bottom 3. Devin's ranked the whole catalog, which is cool. But I think the rest of us are just going to be saying what our top 3 and bottom 3 are when we get to the end of all the album discussions. But yeah, it's always been just sort of one of those beloved favorites. Like early Venom, like early Hellhammer, it proves that you don't have to be spectacular at playing and songwriting yet. You can, with enough charisma and just sort of force of personality, you can push it through and people will get what you're doing sometimes. So it worked. Marty, your take?
It's been a minute since I've spun this, and shockingly, it sounds better than the full-length album. their debut. I think the sound on it's really good. Like Devin said, I think all the songs on it are really solid. Blasphemer, of course, Burst Command to War. It's kind of funny hearing these songs and not and realizing that's how many bands over the years have covered them. Very influential. I was thinking going in, I didn't even look at the track list. I just threw it on and started listening to it. I was thinking My Atonement was on here somewhere, but that was on what, a single before this or after this? Love that song. That's a killer song. Another unique track. Wasn't on here though, but yeah, after listening to Obsessed by Cruelty first and then putting this on, it's better than the full length in sound and in execution. I think Chris Wishhunter's drumming is a little bit better on this one too. And yeah, if I were ranking the whole thing, this would rank higher than Obsessed by Cruelty. Easily. I think the songs are better. And I will say out of the big four, I think Sodom at this point was far more evil than the other three bands. Obviously Tankard, they weren't really. They were more of a fun thrash band. Destruction, there was an evil quality to Infernal Overkill, which I really, really like. But where Destruction beats Sodom in technical ability and good drummer, Sodom, I think, beats them in overall evil occult feel at this point of the game. But yeah, good. It's a great start. And you would expect that the band would that was in 1985. In 1986 they put out Obsessed by Cruelty, which you would expect an improvement musically, but I struggle with this one. Jurgen, give us some of the goods on this one.
So yeah, Steamhammer were quite surprised how good the EP was doing. They sold a lot of copies here in Europe. So they let them record another album, which was, of course, Obsessed by Cruelty, released in 1986, as you said. As we all know, there are two versions of that album. There is a US version and there is a German version. And these are two, they are not remixed, they are two different recordings. So they sent them to the studio. And the result was totally shit. And they sent them to another studio to record it again from scratch. The German version is the second version, the improved version, so to say. But the wrong master tape got sent to the US, so the US version on Metal Blade is a different version, and it's the worst version of the album. So I would like to get a Metal Blade copy. If somebody wants to share it with me, hit me up. But we got another reissue, and we have both versions of the album. So
that is a cool package. That would be a fun. That they don't give that one away anymore either. I was looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah. So both versions on that reissue. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this one?
The album, the production on both versions is abysmal. The playing, the non-song structures, the non-rhythmic barking, the I don't know. It's a cult album, but it's not good. Period.
Yeah. Agreed. Devin.
What happened between this and In the Sign of Evil? Were they super drunk doing this or something? It sounds like it.
They were always drunk, and they still are.
Yeah, it's definitely more charming than it is actually good. It's kind of a sloppy, shitty mess. I mean, you have some good songs on here. Obviously, Death Like Silence is where they took the name of the record label from, so there's that. After the Deluge, Volcanic Slut. Decent record, a little bit overrated, I think, but in my ranking, ooh, this might piss some people off. This is my number 12. Good album, but I don't love it.
Yeah. All right. Alan.
Yeah. Well, I will stand up for Obsessed by Cruelty, and everything folks have said is fair. The production is terrible, and then you get the other version, and the production is still terrible. So yeah, it was one of those things like, oh, maybe I'm just hearing the wrong version. Not that they both sound pretty messed up. At the same time, it's supposed to sound messed up. It's early black, dark, amateurish German thrash, and it operates in that vein, and I like it. But yes, there's no defending it on any kind of technical scale because it's not technical in any way. But it does, for me, it's held up, very well. And yeah, some songs are better than others, but it's got enough bangers on it. And Devon reeled off a lot of the good ones with Volcanic Slut, Death Like Silence, Return to. I always mess up the title of that one. Return to.
I see no return to anything.
Sorry, Fall of Majesty Town.
Fall of Majesty Town.
Return of Majesty Town, but yeah, Fall of Majesty Town. So yeah, it is what it is. It's not supposed to be a pretty album. If it doesn't suit people, there's plenty of other, much better sounding albums that would come. But I like it. I've always had a soft spot for it. And I think part of it is also the fact that starting with the next album, Sodom pretty rapidly does start to advance. They're not a band that wallowed in this really primal and raw sound forever. They were rapidly improving, getting better, getting tighter, songwriting improving. So the fact that you really only have the EP and this first album that are in this really sloppy, messy style, I think that's kind of helps the album. If they had 5 more albums that sounded like this, Obsessed by Cruelty might not stand out or be as interesting. But it's kind of unique in their catalog, and I do like it. So I would place it pretty high in my ranking. We'll see if it makes the top 3 at the end of the night or not. But yeah, I get why other people don't like it. I think it is one of those albums where you either just get attached to it and like it, or you feel like, it's just, too much of a mess for you to really enjoy. So I would not go as far as calling it like an all-time classic or anything, but I think it's a really solid, fun, early German thrash record. Marty, I know you're closer to Devon on this one, but go ahead, say your piece.
I don't think the songs are bad per se. They're just very basic. They're very basic. They're very simplistic. They're very predictable. That's kind of my beef with the record. The sound, Witch Hunter's drumming is really, really tough. And he does, he's one of those drummers. He's kind of a feel player. He puts in fills in the middle of a verse as opposed to at the end. But that's kind of the charm. That's kind of their sound and their style. And it just, on this album, it feels like fuck ups. It doesn't feel like there's intention behind it. It feels like mistakes. But there's a lot of charm here, but it's amazing the difference between this album and the next album, which we'll get to here in a second. But I try to put this on the block this week up against the other 3 from Germany. Tankard. And I was just very surprised that this album was the weakest of the bunch. Creator, it's very young. It sounds very young, but the songs, there's some interesting things going on. This just sounds very young and very inexperienced. They don't sound like they're really dialed in on their instruments yet. They don't really sound like they know where they want to be yet musically, which they figure out quite quickly. But if, the powers that be were judging this band on this album, where is it? Here it is. It's on this double disc thing. If the powers that be were just judging this band on this album, it's amazing they got another chance. I mean, it's good, but it's not Destruction good at this point. It isn't Creator good at this point. I'm glad they did, because this band really developed a lot and they found their sound, which we're going to get to here in a minute. So this doesn't make my best of or the worst of. So it's just in the nebulous zone in the middle, kind of towards the end. I do appreciate the charm of it, though. It's not something I'm reaching for all the time. Which brings us to 1987, Persecution Mania.
By the way, that Steamhammer CD with the EP and Obsessed by Cruelty has the first version of the album, so it has the American version.
Okay. I also have a vinyl copy of it too, but I think it's a U.S. version of it. It's an old and it's a radio promo. It's got writing all over it. So
okay,
yeah. There's been very, very few pressings or reissues over the years that have the good version that came out in Germany and Steamhammer. Even if they say that's what they have, almost all of them really do have the Metal Blade, aka the U.S. master.
Yeah. Okay, so right. Steamhammer was not really convinced, and they saw the band saw another lineup change. They got a new guitar player, Frank Blackfire. So the record label said, "I think we gotta do an EP again instead of releasing full-length albums." So this was not Sodom's idea. This was the record label's idea. This is the Expurse of Sodomy, whatever that means, EP. And I can give that away. This is my favorite release by the band. It's not a full-length album. It has 3 songs. The production is perfect. All 3 songs are such awesome songs. And when I saw them the last time, they played them. They opened the show with these 3 songs.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And even thinking about that gives me goosebumps. So yeah, that one also sold pretty well. So Steamhammer said, "Okay, let's do another album." So album number 2, Persecution Mania. Yeah. What can I say about that? This is when the band started to get bigger. We're gonna talk about even bigger a little bit later on. This is a fucking fantastic album. I won't give away the ranking, but a lot of people know where it ranks for me. A perfect Sodom album. First time you saw, his name is Knarrenheinz. Repeat after me, Knarrenheinz.
We're going to call him Kenny for short.
So yeah, what do you think? Best opening song on a thrash metal album ever.
It's in the conversation. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mission statement too. They found their sound. Anyway, Devon.
To me, this is when I think they really finally became Sodom. So this is like the sound going forward nailed down. So, and this version of the cassette has the 3-song EP that Jurgen mentioned. So
mine does too. The CD does. I just noticed that it's on the back of the CD here. Anyway.
Besides the obvious Nuclear Winter, my favorite song is definitely Christ's Passion. I love that middle
song. Fucking rules. God, it's so good.
I will say after this, unfortunately, they kind of lost the evilness a little bit. Like they became more streamlined and less like kind of first wave black metal-ish. But yeah. Besides that, Persecution Mania, the title track, and then the EP song Sodomy and Lust. I love that one too. That weird intro riff. Most people say this is their favorite. It's up there for me, but for me, this is my number 4.
Okay.
All right. Alan.
Yeah, a big step up here. You know, the band's getting tighter, more proficient with their instruments. Just, better songwriters. It makes sense. They've been doing it for a few years now. And it shows through. This album, I think, for a lot of folks, has the right balance where it's still very rough and raw sounding in terms of just overall presentation, but the songs are tighter now, so that it feels a lot more mature, but still feels evil all at the same time. Like Devon said, after this, they're going to start to really drop off the evil thing and go into kind of a different thematic direction. Great track listing. As Jurgen said, Nuclear Winter is about as good an opening statement as you could hope for.
It was so good.
There's really nothing bad on here. I know Marty's not nuts about the cover, but I feel like I've always felt Iron Fist fits in with this album perfectly. And even though it's early in the track list, it fits in pretty naturally. No real big problem there. Enchanted Land is always a weird title for a song. It sounds like it should be like on some kind of Rhapsody or Stradivarius album, but it's actually a really wicked song. Very cool.
It is.
But yeah, Procession to Golgotha, the instrumental is actually pretty good and creepy.
Evil.
Yeah, again, everything on this album just sounds creepy and evil. The closing track, kind of starts their run of punkified thrash songs. They would have that one song on every album for a while. With this album, it's Bombinagle. Some people don't like those tracks. I always thought they were a fun inclusion when it was one song per album. It's like, yep, you may have one track per album to just do the punk thing, and it'll be fun for a couple minutes, and that's enough. Obviously, eventually they started doing more than one, and we'll talk about that later maybe, but I'm fine with Bombinagle on here. Yes, it's very rudimentary as a punk type song. It's not particularly novel or advanced. It doesn't need to be. It's just really good fun. So, great album, start to finish. It was the first Sodom I ever ran into, and we'll talk about rankings at the end of the show, but yeah, Persecution Mania is going to get mentioned for sure. Marty, your analysis on Persecution Mania.
This is one of those albums that really tried hard to dethrone Creators, my favorite German thrash band at the time. I mean, this thing is just, it's evil, it's fast, and it just really highlights Tom's super grim, croaking vocal style. And do I hate the Motorhead cover? I don't hate the song. It just should have been at the end of the album. They throw it in the middle. They put it at track 3. It's not even at the middle. It's at the first quarter of the album. Man, no. After Electrocution, it shouldn't have been Iron Fist. They should have put this after Conjuration.
Find the fun, Marty. Find the fun.
Or Bombenhagel. Yeah, I don't know. It just fucks with the flow a bit for me, but otherwise, this album is great. I love every song on it. It's just great. And yeah, I mean, I think when they get back to this spirit a bit later on, maybe not as evil, but as far as fast and very much like Sodom. This, like we said, they come into their sound at this point. That they really honed it in. Chris's drumming is really improving a lot. He's tightened up a lot, especially on the next album. He really super slick production on the drums, and his performance is really dialed in. But yeah, this is we'll get to the rankings later. I'm not going to spoil where this one sits, but definite favorite, which, yep, I mentioned this one. I'm sure Jurgen will show it.
Yeah, so Sodom went on their first tour, and the tour was a huge success, and they recorded Modern Way of Life there. Double album?
Nope. Yep.
Can you tell me, this is the first live album by a thrash band?
Really?
Tell me what's earlier. Tell me what's earlier.
Live Without Sense is later.
Yeah. Everything is later. It is the first thrash metal live album.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Maybe at the same time, live at Dynamo by Testament, the EP came out around the same time, but
there was some live.
Live Undead. Live
Creator?
Undead's earlier, but Live Undead is kind of that's a weird set of recordings. I don't know if that's fair to call it a live album.
There was some live songs here and there on certain Creator releases, but not a whole album.
Nope.
Until the Berlin Wall fell, then they had that big one.
Right.
But
so yeah, this is
awesome.
when Sodom really became big. And then they recorded their third studio album, Agent Orange. This is way more cleaned up, more tempo changes, some mid-tempo stuff. The earliest one to, in my ears, that was very different to their old stuff was Remember the Fallen. It was way more melodic and mid-paced. That's a lot of stuff that sounds like Persecution Mania, but a little bit more polished. And this was their big success. They landed in the charts in Germany with that album at number 46, I think. And the tour was sold out everywhere. And on that tour, that was when I saw them first. And the support act was Sepultura on the Beneath the Remains. So imagine seeing that and Beneath the Remains era Sodom as Sepultura.
Wow. Yeah.
So the concert that I went to, the audience cleared after Sepultura left, so there was only half the audience left to watch Sodom.
Oh, weird.
Wow. All right. Any thoughts on that one from your own perspective, or you kind of covered it all?
It has been such a huge part in my life, so yeah, I still listen to the album. Everything's good on here except for the Ausgebombt song.
Right. All right, Devin.
So there's an extreme aggression I always think of together. And Remember the Fallen is like this album's No Pain Will Last, I think. It's like a slower, like mid-tempo song, but
Yeah.
this is one of those albums I've heard a million times, so I never need to play it much anymore, but when I do, it's great all over again. Title track, another great opener. Tired of Red. I actually really like Amsterdam, though it sounds like a Motorhead song, so I kind of get why it's like less great, but Baptism of Fire. The Tank cover, was that on the original?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
no.
No, I got added
Was it?
later.
Don't
Seemed like
walk
it was
away.
on my. Seemed like it was on my tape.
It's on the CD and on the tape, but not on the vinyl release.
Oh, because I had the tape and that was on there.
Yeah, some people say this one sounds kind of American. I don't hear that. It's cleaner, yes, but I don't hear the American sound. It's still distinctly German, so... This is my number 2, so close to number 1, but not quite there.
All right. Ellen.
Yeah, so this one, as Jurgen and Devon said, a lot cleaner sounding. And yes, they're kind of starting to leave some of the evilness behind. The war theme is now front and center. And it works for them. Obviously, they've made good use of that for a very long time. But it is, sort of a different aesthetic. You still have a good set of songs. Now, I disagree with Devon. I do hear this one starting to sound a little bit Americanized, just in terms of getting a little bit more of sort of a Bay Area chug to some of the songs. It still has its German elements. I don't think anybody would listen to it and mistake it for a Testament record or an Exodus record. But it does feel like, just in terms of cleaning up and tightening up, they are drifting in that direction. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just an observation. It's something that I never noticed any of the other German thrash bands do, even as they change.
I would argue one. Hang on a second. Let me find it.
Sure.
Keep going. I'll find it in a second.
Okay. But yeah, it is a good album. There's a couple of tracks on here that don't quite work for me. The one in particular that I always get a bit hung up on is Remember the Fallen. For me, it feels, being a slower track, it is one that kind of just drags a little bit, and it feels very repetitive. They keep going back to just Remember the Fallen. It's like, okay, I remember. Oh, wait, you're going to repeat it again? Okay, I guess you really want to make sure we remember. Please quit saying Remember the Fallen. We get it. Speed it up. Do something. That song always feels very flat to me. And as the end to side A, it's kind of like, not the way to end the first side of the record.
Yeah, it's my least
other
favorite
good
song.
tracks. Side B closes really good. Baptism of Fire is a great one. That song leans a little bit more back towards the Persecution Mania song sound. I feel like Baptism has a little bit more of that blackness in it. Agent Orange, of course, is very good. Again, I don't mind the Oxtenbach song. I realize it's kind of the one punk throwaway track, but again, they get one. I won't complain until there's more than one. Even though it's not an album I tend to gush about, it is a really solid and really good album. There's really nothing bad about it. All I can say, I wish maybe there was one more album in between Persecution Mania and this album, just to have a little bit longer period with that slightly rougher and more evil sound, because I do like that era of Sodom a little better than the non-evil era of Sodom, but it's still a really solid album front to back. So with the exception of that one track that Devon and I agree, just not our favorite. But Marty, what do you think of the album, and what do you think? Do you remember The Fallen, or are you tired of remembering The Fallen?
I do. Devon, did you have something you want to interject with?
Yeah,
What
I
album did you
found
find?
2, I think, pretty US sounding German thrash records.
Paradox. What's the other
Grinder.
Dead
Grinder.
End.
one? Oh, okay.
This
Okay.
sounds a lot like early Flotsam and Jetsam to me.
Oh,
And then this sounds a lot like Forbidden. So
okay.
I just got the new Paradox on vinyl. I have not listened to it yet. I know it's a drum machine, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. I only have the first 2 and the newest one, so I have a lot of holes to fill in that band's catalog as well.
You will be surprised.
Is that really
how-
what you want to say when you're talking about the Sodom discography, Marty? You need to fill some holes. My
Just one
God,
hole.
man, are you
Just
trying
one
to get
hole.
us banned from YouTube?
What hole could it be? Or are you going to say, Jurgen?
When you're going to listen to the new Paradox, you will be surprised how fucking fast the album is.
Yeah. I can't wait. Like I said, it's sitting up there on the table waiting for me. Maybe tonight I'll spin the new Paradox. I don't have to listen to Sodom tonight if I don't want to. This album for me, it's been, again, another minute since I've spun it, putting it on. Very clean, crisp production, which it really highlights Tom's voice, which, on songs like Agent Orange, Incest, and even Magic Dragon, just that croak. I love it. You can understand what he's saying. Very discernible, right up front. And again, Chris Witchhunter's drum performance on here is pretty tight. And I love those in the middle of the verse fills that he throws in there. It's so Sodom, we were talking about it a bit on the Discord server, and you got the Don't Walk Away cover on here, which is a Tank song. And there are other elements there's some stuff on here that kind of remind me of Tank. The Oskabumpt song is kind of punky, but that, Remember the Fallen, there's a bit of a rock vibe in that shit as well. So it feels like that whole Tank thing rubbed off on him a little bit here. Obviously, they switched up from the evil and went more into war themes, which it suits them well.
Makes sense. Tank makes perfect sense. I mean, Tank's only maybe half a step removed from Motorhead themselves, so
yeah, true.
Yep, it fits.
But yeah, I remember kind of burning out on this record because I listened to it so much when it came out. But putting it on this week was a lot of fun.
I have done that with this album before too, Marty. Yeah,
no
there have been
complaints
times I've played
really.
it a few too many times.
Yep, and for the longest time, I thought this was the last one that I would ever care about again. But it's not true. But that, what's next? What's next, Jurgen?
So next up, a lineup change. Surprise, surprise. So, even on the Agent Orange tour, they had a step in guitar player because Frank Blackfire left the band after recording the album. So it seems it was hard to work with Chris Witchhunter and Angelripper. They were drinking all the time. They were best friends back then. And not a lot of guitar players could stand it that long. So they got a new guitar player from the band Assassin from Germany, and they recorded Better Off Dead. Now this one was a surprise, and to most fans a real letdown, because the sound of the album it's not weak, but the venomous guitar tone is missing. It's all even more cleaned up, less distortion, cleaner sounds. But after all, it's such a fucking great album. I still love it to that day. The opener, Eye for an Eye, they tried for the very first time. They threw in a couple of death metal influences on the song Resurrection, which is dedicated to Tom Angelripper's father. So yeah, new guitar player, new luck.
All right, Devon.
So this is a weird one. This one took me the longest of where to place it. Because there's some good stuff on here, but there's also some songs that are not so good. The song you mentioned, Resurrection, that's honestly my least favorite song by them, just overall. It's not very good, but this would be a good kind of long EP if it was An Eye for an Eye, Shellfire Defense, The Saw is the Law, Turn Your Head Around, Blood Trails, the title track, and Terror and Father. Take those songs, it'd be an awesome EP. The rest of it, not bad, just kind of so-so. So in my ranking, this is my number 10.
All right, Ellen.
Let's see, yeah, I've always ranked this one kind of low myself, and it's kind of what Jurgen mentioned. I'm one of those people. The album just feels kind of flat compared to previous albums for some reason. And there are good tracks with, like, Shellfire Defense. I like the tank cover on this one. But yeah, overall, it just I play it and I'm just like, it just doesn't seem to have quite the same energy to it. And I don't know if it's the production, the songwriting, the playing. It's never really grabbed me besides a few songs. For example, when the cover song, like on a Persecution Mania, you had the cover song on side A, and it just kind of blends in really nicely with the rest of the tracks. Here, the cover song is a standout moment on side A. It's like, that's not good. The cover song shouldn't be one of the main things I remember at the end of the side. So yeah, I also tend to put this one kind of low. It's one I will revisit from time to time. I feel like maybe one day I'll appreciate it more, but that day hasn't come yet. So it's the first one here in the catalog where I'd be like, I could probably take or leave this particular album. If I was thinking of things not to bother picking up for the Sodom discography, I probably don't need this one, although I've already got it, so it'll stay on the shelf. So yeah, not a personal favorite.
It was for me. The album is tamer. Tamer is, I think, the word.
That is a good word for it. Yeah,
so
I like that.
Nowadays, I like it that much that I even bought the shirt.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I want to like the album, but I think tamer is a perfect word for it.
What do you think of the Thin Lizzy cover?
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I kind of blanked on that, which tells you what
Cold
I think.
Sweat, right? It was Cold Sweat. Yeah.
It's Cold Sweat, which is a kick-ass Thin Lizzy song, and I don't feel that Sodom does a good job on it.
I don't think he did a bad job. They kind of played it true. They played it true to the song a bit,
and I think they played it too true, and I don't think it's a song that, again, Iron Fist makes sense. The Tank songs make sense. Sodom's not a 70s hard rock band, so Cold Sweat, that's a little bit of a stretch to play it that straight on. If they had sodomified it, maybe I would like it a bit more.
Sodomized it.
Folks, next Friday night, our channel is going to be replaced with 3 hours of dancing cat meme videos. I'm sorry.
Where the fuck is that Thin Lizzy cover? It's not on my album.
It's on streaming.
It's on like a version.
It's on my CD version. But I don't know which price.
It's on my CD version too. Cold Sweat number 6. Yeah.
Okay. These might be the bonus tracks from the Saw is the Law EP. They released the Saw is the Law as an EP, and around that time they also did a Bryan Adams cover.
Yeah, it's the last song on side A on this version.
Okay.
Okay, we're just digging a hole deeper here.
Did they do that Disney soundtrack song? Is that the one they did? I can't remember what it was with that big Bryan Adams hit. What one was it?
Definitely like Robin Hood or something.
Oh, it might have been Robin Hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't do Summer of '69. They
Right
did
on.
Summer of '86 and played it in the Obsessed by Cruelty style.
Well, for me, this has been sitting on the shelf a long time, and I remember being very underwhelmed by it. And I, in my notes, putting it on this week for the first time, I'm like, weird, questionable cover choices, but still a good album. The thing that blew me away was the palm muted speed crunch perfection. How fast the palm mute, especially on songs like Shellfire Defense.
I've tried playing that song. It's a motherfucker alone.
Holy shit! It's just like so perfect and so fast while he's got his hand over the string. It's just like, it's just teeth grating and savage. I love it. And the vocals on here, this is where back then that fluctuation between grim Angelripper croak and punky Tom shouting, there's a lot more fluctuation of that starting on this album a bit more. Back then it bothered me. Now today I listen to it, I'm like, it fits. It's Sodom. And it's one thing I did want to mention early on, and I should have mentioned, I'm just a fat American guy, but it just seems like of the 4 German bands, this Sodom just seems the most German, if that makes any sense. They sing a lot of songs in German. They just have this Oktoberfest vibe when they kick into the punk stuff and they get the rock thing going on. They kind of just seem like they would be of the big 4 national treasure type of band. Creator, of course, went out in the world. They toured America a bunch. They got really big, but then they've fallen off. They did some weird gothic shit. And then now they're like Swedish death metal, melodic Swedish death metal band, thrashy. But Sodom was always Sodom, and that's kind of commendable. And it's never been really boring. It's very commendable. And I don't know, as a German, would these guys be considered a national treasure as far as the big 4 is concerned?
Yeah, sure they are. Over the last couple of years, I'm huge into all of the German Big 4, but Sodom became my favorite after all. So if you would have asked me 25, 30 years or even longer ago, I would say Creator. Then I would have said Destruction. Nowadays, I say Sodom.
Right on.
And I'm being told by my wife that the Bryan Adams song we're trying to make reference to was from the Three Musketeers soundtrack, not the Robin Hood soundtrack.
You were close. What song? What's the name of the song? Bonus points.
Did she? Well, we'll see if she rings back in with the song title. She's texting me from the other end of the house, so she's listening in the bedroom.
It was on MTV every 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah. I can see the video. I can't hear the song. I have managed to gouge that part of my brain out, apparently, so there's no sound.
Partial lobotomy, yes.
But
all right,
on we move then.
On we go. Where are we at now, Jurgen?
Okay, another surprise. After the album and after the tour, they lost their guitar player.
Just couldn't hang at the bar.
Yeah, he was moving over to Brazil, and they invited the guys to record the next album in Brazil. But Sodom are a German band. They said, "Fuck you with your Brazilian shit," and yeah, we'd rather get a new guitar player. So. Next album, they got the most unknown and the youngest guitar player they could find. Andy Brings this was his first album with the band. He was 19 years old or 20 years old at that time, and the album is such a brilliant belter. It was when it came out, everybody was surprised how fucking heavy they got. Mm-hmm. How fast they got again, and the vocals got a little bit grittier again. So this album was a huge success for them again. So, what's your opinion?
Devon, what's your opinion?
Alrighty, so CD bootleg 1992 tour show.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I wasn't alive yet, but whatever. And then the recent record.
Why is he a Smurf, by the way? I don't get why he's blue. Why is he blue?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
So 92 thrash bands either could have gone
There he's black and white.
Metallica commercial, Pantera groove, or more death metal. Luckily, Sodom was one of the few they actually chose the right direction and got more extreme, so that was good. I mean, the opening body part, right away you know which side of the fence they chose. Then besides that, Skin the Lava in the middle, the part in that, and then the one like slower song, One Step Over the Line, that seems to be one of the songs they play when they play songs from this record. Then the Crippler, that's another favorite. Love that one too. Tapping the Vein, another ripper. Back to Work, kind of a punkier one. And then Hunting Season, Reincarnation. So yep. This is the recent reissue. Unfortunately, the remix kind of sounds horrible. Like it's like took all the heaviness out. It's like super trebly sounding. So if you get this, only play the remaster, not the reissue. But yeah, so. And ranking, number 1.
Ah,
I love this record.
But on that remixed version of the album, they had all the count-ins. They got the guitar feedback. They got. It was not supposed to be. It was not supposed to be the better version of the album. More like if you go into the practice room of Sodom.
Okay, that makes sense then.
All right, Ellen.
yeah, this one obviously they kind of roar back with a real vengeance, and I hadn't thought of this, but this may be yet another reason I have issues with Better Off Dead, because you compare the two side by side, and it's just like, good lord, this one, yeah, just kind of really crushes,
Grinds up the album before it for sure.
Yeah, it really does crank things up a lot. And Devon made a really good point. By the end of the first 2 songs, you know this album is not going to pull any punches. The 1-2 punch of body parts and Skinned Alive. It's like, okay, yep. This is going to be a bit of an ass whooping, and it is. Only criticism, and it's a kind of a nitpicky thing with the album, it's almost too in your face too much of the time. There's not much variation on here. It really is just, bam, hit you in the face. Next track, bam, hit you in the face. Oh, here, track 3, bam, hit you in the face.
Yeah, that's why I love it, so I don't agree.
Yeah, if you like it, then it is perfect start to finish. I don't play this album a ton, and I think part of it is just like, it could get monotonous if I played it too much, where it would just start becoming like boom, 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 boom. You just start to, it could start to run together if I didn't pay attention to it. But no, really, really solid album. I hadn't played it in a long time, so revisiting it was just like, yeah, this one really holds up well. It does pack just a crazy amount of power to it. And yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, Devon, but you're right. For all the other thrash from 1992, I mean, Jesus, we were having to suffer through Testament, an hour-long ritual that nobody wanted to sit through. And then you still had this.
Except Darcy. Except Darcy. He wanted to sit through that.
If folks dig the ritual, that's absolutely fine. That album's just, for me, it's too long and it's too safe. It's almost like it's tamer. It's like the previous Sodom album. It's tamer. Sodom ramped things back up here and, stayed the course much better than many of their thrash contemporaries in 92. Marty, your turn to tap the rain.
Yeah,
I sounded
this
dirty
is
when I said it that way. Man, we're just in all kinds of trouble tonight.
right. This is one that took me a minute to get, and finally when I did get it, again, I couldn't believe it's nothing like the album before it. What do I have on here? There is a weird drum snare production. The snare is very pingy, but this is definitely their fastest and most technically challenging album. It's a great brutality to it. The speed is impressive, and Tom's croak just rules. He's kind of back centered on it for most of the album, and it seems like they were trying to prove a point. They were getting back on track. Not that they had fallen that far off the mark by any means, but this is just I don't know if it's a response to what was going on, like Devin said, a lot of groove chugga chuggas type shit going on, and Sodom just like, fuck it, we're grinding them up into the Sodom grinder. Here they go. And yeah, the album was an eye opener. I couldn't believe how good it was, how just savage. Like I said, they came out swinging on this one, and it ends up being kind of a one-off in this run of albums. Still, everything comes out after sounds like Sodom, but they kind of go back into an earlier pattern coming up with the next album.
So again, a surprise. This time, it hit the drummer. So yeah, they didn't change guitar players this time. Chris Witchhunter was out of the band because of his behavior on tour and not wanting to practice and not attempting to get better at his instrument, and probably drinking too much. So yeah, cheers to Chris Witchhunter. Next up, they wanted to get very, very, very basic, and they released Get What You Deserve. Now, when this album came out, this is so stripped back. You only have one guitar, no backup guitars, one bass, vocals, and drums. The new drummer in the band was, even back in the day, he was called the German Dave Lombardo. He played in Violent Force and Holy Moses and Living Death. So Atomic Steife on this album hits it all the way. This, I hated it when it came out. Nowadays, I really, really enjoy the album. So actually, that was the cover of the German issue, because Steam Hammer couldn't tolerate that one. I don't know if you've seen that in its entirety. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and that was around the time when I first met Mr. Thomas Such. That's his real name. Angelripper. I met him here. What do you think about the album? It grew on me over the years.
Devin.
So I liked it right away. A little bit of a letdown compared to Tapping the Vein. I wish it had the similar production. It's a little bit thinner sounding, but I would argue there's some songs that are even faster than Tapping the Vein, like Jesus Screamer, that like almost like cryptic slaughter type of blast beat thing they did on that one. The title track. Yeah, good record. That cover art is definitely questionable, though. It's not the best. But yeah. And
that is far too many blow-up dolls to have on the cover of any album.
Oh yeah, no kidding. So this is my number 8.
1 is fine, 2 is probably finer. Just remember that.
Yeah.
All right, Alan.
So yeah, this is where it feels like Sodom's definitely leaning into that punkier tendency, which they've always had as an influence, and that's fine. But it starts to dominate the sound, and I don't dislike this phase of Sodom, but I don't like it as much as their thrashier phases either. So also, with the new drummer and stuff, you definitely are getting a different balance of instruments here. It does feel like, the bass is getting moved more towards the front, and that's going to continue on the next album. The guitars don't play as much of a role, it feels like. So you really are, getting a very kind of stripped back, bare bones sound. And again, I think in small doses it works okay for me, but it's not something I would go back and want to, play often or on repeat. So it'd be much further down in my personal ranking. Again, I don't think it's garbage or anything. I just don't care for it as much as other parts of their discography. Marty, what do you think of this this part of the Sodom catalog we're getting into?
This week was the first time I ever heard this record, and I anticipated it to be a lot like Masquerade in Blood, which is next, kind of an underwhelming album for me, but Get What You Deserve, I kind of liked it. It's plotting. It has a very plotting and incessant pace to it. It's brutal in its own way. Not all the songs are fast and ripping Sodom song. There's a little bit more mid-pace and slower things. Punky moments back and forth on this record. It kind of settles in to be the formula for Sodom, and it works. If Sodom was a punk band, they would be fine. They would be a good band. I also like the Angel Dust cover, the Venom Angel Dust cover on here. It kind of shows you their roots, and they do it perfectly. I mean, they do it justice, like they were meant to play that song. So that, in that case, it was a good cover choice for this time. Yeah, big surprise. I started looking for it online to pick up a copy of it. Yeah, they don't, not cheap. Original pressings, not cheap. Jurgen, what's next?
So yeah, Get What You Deserve is gonna be re-released. I just pre-ordered the box set because I collect Sodom shit.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the regular vinyl version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They do the same thing with as with and not better of that Tapping the Vein. They have a remix of the album. I'm looking forward to hear that. So
interesting, yeah.
All right, next up, another live album called Marooned.
I have never seen a physical copy of that ever in the wild anywhere.
So yeah, this is nothing special. It's played very punky, very sloppy. It's got all in all 23 songs on it. Yeah, this is nothing you must have in your collection. So next studio album. Before that, they wanted to get rid of their guitar player Andy. So what Tom did, he, like said, Sodom is over for him. So they don't have to fulfill any contract anymore. And only 1 year later, he said, okay, I'm going to come back. And they released that one. Still with Atomic Steif on drums. And they got a new guitar player called Strali. This is the first album they had a down-tuned guitar sound. And Strali was way before Roy C. on the Bruce Dickinson albums. He used a thin bass guitar sound as his lowest string on the guitar. That might explain the sloppy sound. This is a very, very murky sounding album. There's a couple of good songs. There are too many songs on here, I think. The songs are not very memorable. Masquerading Blood, the opening track, is probably the best song on the album. The cover, again, looked pretty cool, but yeah. And before getting on to the next album, shortly after they finished recording the album, they didn't get on tour with that one because Strali went to jail. Their guitar player.
Oh boy. All right, Devon, thoughts on Masquerade in Blood?
The artwork's better than the music, I'll just say that. I do not love this one. This basically sounds like a down-tuned Motorhead record, which you think would be cool, but it's less cool than that sounds. Honestly, if I had to make the ultimate Sodom playlist, this is the only album I wouldn't choose any songs from. They all kind of blend together. Not bad, just a whole lot of mids, so this is my number 16.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, down-tuned Motorhead album is the perfect way to describe it, Devon. You really hear the band's Motorhead influence come through a lot on this one. And yeah, the very down-tuned bass-heavy sound. That's interesting, Jurgen, about the way they handled the guitar. I didn't know that. But it makes a lot of sense because it is, like you said, a really murky-sounding album. Yeah, not a lot stands out in the track list on this one. Trying to find something that I like. Hydrophobia, the closer, isn't bad. It's got a certain moshability to it where it sounds maybe a little thrashier than a lot of the material, but beyond that, again, it's not that anything's terrible here, but the bottom line is Sodom's got a long discography. There's plenty of albums to choose from. There's not much of a reason to choose this one very often. So I would also rank it pretty far down the list. And yeah, I've got to say, as Jurgen's going through the history of the lineup changes, I'm guessing that when Tom watched Spinal Tap, he completely did not get the joke about the drummer.
All right.
Marty, what do you think of this one?
Well, I own it. And this is really back when around this came out. The last time I heard Sodom, a full album, and I'm like, yeah, a little underwhelmed by this. A lot more punky type shouting style on here, which now doesn't bother me. Then it kind of bothered me. Going back to it this week, it certainly isn't a favorite in their catalog, but I don't think it's crap. I think it's, if someone threw it on, I'd be fine listening to it. And I dropped it, so I busted the fucking case. No big deal. I don't know why I put that in there. I was just looking at the picture on the screen. I'm like, yeah, that annoys me. Yeah, this is, it's funny that this follows, Tapping the Vein is still in pretty close proximity to this record. Why aren't they still kind of messing with that? Why didn't that permeate the next couple albums? But it didn't. But so here, this is just a Motorhead-ish, detuned Sodom record. 13 songs. There's a lot of songs on here. There's a lot to sit through on this. And I think that's another thing I've noticed moving forward here. There's some albums that are pretty long. Of course, a lot of these albums do have covers as well, which makes you wonder why, other than they're having fun with it, which is cool. But this doesn't rank real high for me, but I'm glad I have it.
The albums do start having more songs on them, but one thing I noticed and appreciated, Sodom rarely got above the 50-minute mark. They were really good at keeping their, even through the whole 90s CD era where everybody was making 65-minute albums. Most Sodom albums hang out in like that 45 to 48-minute mark, which is okay. It's just that, sometimes they are packing in too many songs, but it's not until you get pretty late in their career that they started having albums hang out past the 50-minute mark. And I think that really works to their benefit.
Yeah. All right. Jurgen, what's next?
So Tom sacked the whole lineup again. And he's got two new members in the band. And the permission for Tom was still do a punky record, because a lot of the songs are not written, the music is not written by Tom. He lets the drummer and the guitar player figure out some things, and the fine tuning is done by Tom. So that's how it works. So the next release, let's do it like that.
Fair, very fair.
Is Till Death Do Us Apart. When I first heard it, I heard the song "Fuck the Police" because that was the video track of the album, and I thought, "Oh my fucking god!" I bought the album because I love Sodom. I heard the whole album and I thought, "Oh my fucking god!" This one, at least the vinyl version, has 15 tracks. 15 fucking tracks. I think I can do it like that.
You can show it. Show it. It's fine. We're far enough in. It's fine.
Let's show the man boob.
Boobies are good. Yep.
So I don't know. We're gonna talk about what I think about the album.
Now or later?
I was shocked. Ranking
Good shock or bad
later
shock? Okay, later. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Devon.
So I've never seen them live before. I've seen on YouTube. This lineup, I think, was their tightest when they were live. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I've seen a bunch of clips of this lineup, and they were super awesome live. So I've noticed rankings have this at the bottom usually. I argue it's a slight return to form. There's some great songs on here like Frozen Screams, Fuck the Police, Gasila, Hanging Judge. The title track, that main riff, I think they kind of ripped off the middle part of Countless Bathory by Vet and the listen to the title track and then go listen to that song. I think you'll hear it, but then unfortunately they covered a Simon and Garfunkel song. Not sure why they decided to do that. I mean, this is very 90s looking. I mean, even look at the...
Yep.
Even the CD's horrible.
Yeah, they had to take actual pieces of flesh in their mouth, and the lights in the studio. They said after some time the photo shooting took some time, and after some time it tasted like rotten flesh, and their guitar player was a vegetarian.
Wow.
They said they had to throw up every 10 or 15 minutes while doing that shot.
Wow. All right. Well, for me, Alan. There you go.
Yep. So this one, the band was on Gun Records for this album. You look at those German bands that migrated onto Gun, and you see the cover art that a lot of them were given, and they had to be thinking in the back of their minds, oh, we've made a mistake. I understand some of them weren't happy with the labels they were on previously, and there were contract issues. And the Gun, had people, who had been in the industry a while and seemed to know what they were doing. But man, you look at those Gun album covers, like this one, the Running Wild album covers when they got moved over to Gun. That label was just doomed. That said, the music here, at least production-wise, we can say a couple of nice things about this. In terms of the production, it's more balanced sounding than the previous two albums. It doesn't have such a murky, really bass-heavy sound to it now. It feels like they're getting the punky stuff worked out of their system a little bit. There's still too much
Fuck
of it.
the Police. It's a punk song. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's still there, but it feels like this one does not feel like it's just a wannabe Motorhead album like the previous album did. So it feels like they're starting to slowly drift back towards more stable thrash territory. So there's a couple of things that are okay here. The Simon and Garfunkel is definitely a strange choice for a cover.
It's the Bangles.
No, it's Simon and Garfunkel.
It's Bangles.
Fuck the Bangles. It's a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Okay.
They so demonetized. So demonetized.
Whatever.
But
fuck the bangers, bang the fuckers.
But yeah, the cover, they do an okay job on it, even though it is a strange choice of song. Not a lot on here I would pick out as like must-hear material, but I don't think it's a terrible album either. It's not going to be that far up the list, but it's not going to scrape the bottom at the end of the day either. So a strange album that still needs some work, but it has a couple of redeeming qualities. I could listen to it and not want to turn it off. I'll give it that.
All right. Today was the first day I ever heard this record. This was the last one I listened to in preparation for this stream, and right off the bat, I'm going to say 49 minutes long. It feels long. It feels like a long album. There's a lot of punk vibes on it, which late in the week of listening to Sodom, I didn't hate it. It doesn't bother me. Like I said, if Sodom decided to go a full punk band, it would work for them because they've already kind of laid the groundwork for it. And Tom's bass tone and his shouting style, I think it suits the style very well. And yeah, I didn't know it was a Simon and Garfunkel song. I heard it. I've heard the Bangles version of it, so I had to laugh out loud when the song started. The melody line starts. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then he starts singing. I'm like, oh no, this is the Bangles. How is this on a Sodom record? But Simon and Garfunkel, whatever. Though this is at the bottom of my ranking, I'm gonna buy it. I'm kind of locked in on I need to get all the Sodom stuff on CD because this has been like I said, a good week of listening to Sodom, and I don't know if I'm gonna spend a shit ton of money on it, but on the same token, I think it's okay. It's Sodom. It's not a bad record. It's just too long and not at the top of their list for sure. Where are we going next?
All right, where was Sodom going next? So yeah, like I said, I was pretty disappointed with Till Death Do Us Apart. Still liking them, but I was almost on my way out. Then this came out, Code Red. First of all, Knarrenheinz was back, and the album opens with the song Code Red.
Great song.
I don't know. It's the same lineup, but for me it is a totally different band. The production on it is very, very sharp. It has Slayer vibes, at least to me, in the riffing and the execution of the songs. Does it have a German song? No, it doesn't have a German song. A plus point. The Vice of Killing, track number 9. I don't know, one of the best Sodom tracks ever. So yeah, Code Red surprised me, and yeah, they won me back with that one. And in when this one came out, they toured here in Germany with Creator and Destruction, and the concert was awesome. That was in 2000, I guess. I think 1999 or 2000, they had the big 3 shows going on here in Germany. So yeah, they won me back with that one.
All right, Devon.
So I will say in the 90s, they've kind of changed styles a bit, but if you like this album, they pretty much continue this style going forward for the most part. So if you like this, you'll like the rest. But yeah, I agree, The Vice of Killing is definitely one of the best songs. My favorite's probably Book Burning. I like that a lot. Title track's awesome. Tombstone, the slowest song, but yep, this was definitely a good return to them being awesome. So this is my number 7.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, they're back in thrash mode here. And this was one of the big surprises for me going through the discography album by album the past couple of weeks. I had always gotten the impression that the sort of unfortunate, weird, phase lasted a lot longer than just, a couple of albums. But no, by Code Red, they've got all the stuff worked out of their system. There's still going to be punk influences in the songs and all that, but there's not going to be another extended outing, like Masquerade in Blood or anything. So Code Red works extremely well. I definitely agree with Jurgen. There is some Slayer working in more and more here. You can hear it in, Tom's shouting style starts to sound a little bit like, Araya's vocal delivery in places, and that will pop up on other albums moving forward too. Yeah, this one just, it harkens back to, some of the heavier thrash stuff they were doing at the start of the decade. It's maybe not as completely up in your face as Tapping the Vein, but this probably would have made a really good follow-up in the vein of Tapping the Vein. So yeah, really good album. Has held up well. Code Red works well. This was one that, I always had trouble figuring out where this fit in the discography because I had missed the albums in between. It seems like it should have come closer to Tapping the Vein and Agent Orange, but Nope, it squeaks in here at the end of the 90s. And like Devon said, just want to kind of establish more or less what they're going to do moving forward.
Yep, 100%. This is them setting the record straight again, getting it back on track. Got this as a promo back when it came out. Saw them at Milwaukee Metal Fest the year this came out. I'm assuming it was the same year.
It must have been 2000.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It was, people were very excited. It seems like people had been keeping up with Sodom here in America because there was a very enthusiastic crowd. They sounded great. They crushed through some classics and some of the newer stuff as well. And this album, it's starting to get a little bit better production again and a little bit of the old Sodom feel. Not the evil feel, but, Agent Orange, that whole era. Again, we're not going to see Tapping the Vein complexity and speed again. But, this was definitely a step back in a safe direction, which they're going to kind of sail with here for quite a while, it seems. Jurgen.
All right. Another surprise in the lineup. It didn't change. So, in 2001, they released that one. M16. So the difference between this one and Code Red is the sound was considered back in the day. It was considered weaker because it wasn't that sharp. It was a little bit more murky, but still a good sound. They went back to Harris Jones to record the album.
Love his production sound.
And you can hear that. That is a little bit more stripped back, I would say. The songwriting on that is phenomenal. Yeah, the cover artwork is awesome. When I first saw it, I thought, what? If you look at it and if you read the lyrics, they've got a theme on the album going back to the Vietnam War. So a little bit of Agent Orange feeling on that album. So, yeah, you're going to see where this lands in my ranking. It was fan-fucking-tastic.
All right.
So, that good, that... Yeah.
Awesome.
Again.
Cool. All right, Devon.
So I agree, it is like a return to the Agent Orange lyrically. So like among the lyric I am the war, napalm in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Genocide little boy, M16, Marines, the shitty surfing bird cover.
So bad.
But
So
the bad
stupid.
bird. And then these versions have two songs they played from Rock in 2001, Remember the Fallen and Blasphemer. So definitely... This answered their questions about them being the 2000s loud and clear. This is my number 3. I love this record.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, great record.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, a lot of folks in the chat agreeing with you all, ranking this one highly. I have always had trouble connecting with this record, and I don't really know why. There's nothing bad about it. There's just not a lot that ever sticks with me from this album. And it's one that I own. I've had it for a while. I got it back in CDR trading days and eventually got a physical copy of it. And it's just one of those albums I'll play it once and be like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And then it goes back on the shelf for 3 years. It has never managed to really sink in or hold my attention long term. I don't know why. But especially compared to something like the previous album, Code Red, I feel like it just doesn't measure up. It's interesting seeing that, a lot of folks have this one higher than Code Red, and that's absolutely fine. It's cool to see how other people kind of compare them. I just can't get this one to ever stick in my brain for some reason, so it doesn't rank nearly as high for me personally. As far as the surfing bird cover goes, it is such a weirdo choice, for sure. I have heard one defense of putting that cover on this particular album in terms of like, well, okay, that would make sense if that's what they were thinking. As Jurgen mentioned, this album has a Vietnam concept to it. And Surfer Bird was one of the big hit songs on the radio in the early years of the Vietnam conflict. So in terms of picking a cover song, they did pick something that soldiers would have been listening to when stationed in Vietnam.
So it was Fortunate Son and
that is as close as a
Black.
rationale as I can get for putting this particular one on the thing.
Paint It Black, Fortunate Son. Better cover.
I'm just saying that is, Surfer Bird would have been, in that sense, it's not, it's like, okay, sure. It was part of the soundtrack of Vietnam. I'm not saying that gives it a free pass. I'm just saying that does help a little bit in terms of it just not being a completely random choice out of the blue, maybe.
And it has, that's probably why, it has a machine gun sound in it. Because of the...
I mean, while all the songs Marty mentioned are better and probably would have been more interesting as covers, Surfer Bird is a garage rock type of thing, and that is where Sodom's roots ultimately trace back to. If you go through the Motorhead and through the punk scene, it all winds back up in late 60s garage rock. So if they really were kind of just sticking to their roots, I guess Surfer Bird makes sense, even though it's stupid. Marty, what would you like to add about M16 here?
Yeah, it's a really good album. And again, I think it's a stronger album than Code Red. It's kind of a lateral move, but the songs I think are a bit more dialed in. Surfing Bird, I get it. I get the whole, it fits with the concept and the era, but the only other cover I can think of by a German band that was as egregious, it would be Barbara Ann by Blind Guardian.
It's exactly the one I would compare it to. Yes.
It ranks right up there with that crap, but
it's almost the same too. Ba 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 bird 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 ba 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 bird bird bird.
It's exactly. But other than that, and they put it at the end, which is where you should put it. If they put this in the middle of the album, you want to talk about a buzzkill. But no, man, this is Harris John's production. Come on, he just knows German thrash. He just dials it in. He was the producer for Noise Records, and there's such an iconic era for me. And just hearing that, it feels like you just got home and it's cold outside. You walk into a warm house and someone's making cookies. That's the production. That's the production. It's like that comfort food. Good, great album. Dig it. Really is held up well too.
I'll agree with Ronnie. Yeah, I can listen to Surfer Bird a lot more than I could ever listen to Barbara Ann. That California surf beach music stuff does not hold up well for me.
Yeah, that you're right, Milo. The My Sharona cover on Crack Brain is not good either. That's what the hell were they thinking?
Or the tankard cover on Stone Cold Sober.
Yeah. Right.
I think German bands have always had a lucky hand in choosing cover songs.
They have a sense of humor.
Yes. Maybe the wrong kind of humor. So, okay. After M16, they constantly toured, and they tried to record another live album in Vietnam. But that didn't work out. But they did the One Night in Bangkok live LP, and this is really good. They even took Harris Jones with them to record the album. It sounds good, very good performance, great lineup for the band anyway. So yeah, live album in between.
Let me guess, that one never came out on vinyl.
It did come out on vinyl, but I think that is around between 300 and 400 euros.
Yeah, okay. CD's good. Perfect.
CD's good, yeah. So next album, They changed producer again. This time, they got back to Andy Brinks to record the album. So their old guitar player was the producer on Sodom's self-titled album. What a fucking horrible cover artwork.
It's not great.
I haven't seen that. The other version I've seen, and the other version's not good either.
I think the other version with the black and white image with the two
it's a song. Yeah,
out, I think that one looks okay.
Yeah,
it is good for.
Plain.
It's very plain, but for an album, remember Metallica's self-titled, it makes kind of sense to use a plain artwork. But this is like really shit. But the songs on the album, they are different. They are different to the ones to the two albums they did before. They became a lot more melodic.
Those are my notes too. A lot of really distinct guitar melody lines. They really jump out at you. Yeah.
Guitar melody lines, the solos. Listen to the solos on the album. In places, it reminds me of Megadeth around the Rust in Peace era. It is not that complicated, but the riffing on it. I don't know which song it was. I think it was Buried in the Justice Ground. It has that Hangar 18 riff to it. So yeah, I like the album from the start when it came out. It's not my favorite by the band, but yeah, it's still a strong album. Some people complain about the production, but yeah, that's fine with me. It's a little bit thinner, but I think it serves Sodom pretty well. So yeah.
All right, Devon.
That does not look like a Sodom album. Oh, I'm sorry. That's horrible. But
yeah.
So if we would have done this and I didn't listen to the albums again, I would have had this one at the bottom, but it's actually raised a lot. So this is the one I grew on me the most. I agree it is more melodic, which I kind of like, but it doesn't sound great. I wish they had John still doing this one, but there are some good songs like Blood on Your Lips, Wanted Dead. They still play City of God all the time. That's the hit, I guess. Axis of Evil, Bibles and Guns, Loads of Depravity, Lay Down the Law. Good record, but not one of my favorites. So this is my number 9.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, this was one I had never checked out before we got started listening on this project. So, early 2000s, and the band's doing a self-titled album. This is not a formula that bodes well, but it actually played out very well. Yeah, everything that Jurgen pointed out about the album is absolutely spot on. There's a lot more melody to this album. The soloing really stands out quite a bit here. And the end result is, I like it. I think it's pretty good. The thing, too, that really sells me on this album is that this is about the time where a lot of bands maybe started trying to go back to their classic sound and, make the album the fans wanted to hear. But what Sodom's doing here is they're staying firmly rooted in thrash metal territory, but they're continually tweaking and adjusting their sound. We've heard on the past 2 albums, had kind of a classic German thrash sound. Album before that was different. The 2 albums before that was different. And so what I was realizing by the time I got to this point in the catalog is that Sodom's always making little adjustments along the way so that the albums don't ever start to feel like the band is stuck in a rut. And that's a complaint I've had about a lot of the thrash bands we've covered. Many of these veteran thrash bands with long discographies, by the time you're getting into the 2000s, they start to get a little bit samey. The albums feel a little bit cookie cutter. Even if the albums are good, it's like, well, this one's really not that different from the past 2 or 3 or 4 albums they've done. And Sodom's avoiding falling into that trap. I think it's very telling that they're on Steamhammer here again, not Nuclear Blast. They do not have that standard Nuclear Blast contract we joke about, where the Nuclear Blast bands always end up just going back to basics. Sodom, it's not like Sodom either is going way out of bounds. They're not making a black metal album here. They're not making a mellow death album here. They're not making a grunge groove Pantera new metal album here. It's still thrash, but they're adjusting the melodies coming up a bit, and it's just a slightly different flavor of thrash. So I'd like the fact that they're constantly, tinkering with the recipe. Not too much, not enough to make you go, what the hell happened now? But enough to make you think like, oh, okay, this album's different. This one stands on its own compared to what's come before it. So yeah, for all those points, again, not very familiar with the album. I've only gotten to play it a couple of times, but definitely I like the album and I like what Sodom was doing at this point. Moving forward, not just, stuck in the past.
Yeah, I think the thing with Sodom is they never stuck to a producer like Andy Sneap or Peter Tegrin or anything like that. Most of the bands, they discover a producer for them and they went with him for a longer period. Sodom never did that, and that is what makes the album sound different. So they got back to Harris Jones with M16, but it doesn't sound the same as what they did on Agent Orange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good observation, Jurgen. I hadn't traced that or thought that through with the producers always being different, but that would make sense. Yeah, that they're always, if they're working with different people in different studios, yeah, that's going to help influence the sound from getting too formulaic.
Well, you've got the luxury of a lot of different guitar players, and Jurgen says Tom would just let them write. I'm sure the main focus is make it a Sodom record, but a lot of these guitarists' specialties shine through in some of this material, and I think Sodom was there a lineup change here? I'm assuming there was.
No.
I don't think there was.
Whatever it was, I mean, there's something going on, because right away, well, first of all, noticeably a brighter production. Really clean, really bright. The guitars are really sharp sounding, and it really allows these very strong guitar melody lines to kind of come to the surface. It's kind of hits you right over the head right away. And first thing I put in this on, I'm like, whoa, there's a melody line. It seems so atypical for Sodom, Yeah. And it's a big change there, but still it sounds like you've got your foundation, which is Tom, his fuzzy bass, and his vocal style, and the way he writes lyrics and fits them within the context of the music. It feels very Sodom, which you could take that however you want. But yeah, this from here on out, I don't own any of these albums other than the 3 that I purchased this week, and I'm going to continue to pick away until I have them all, because nothing disappointed me here, and I actually really enjoyed this record. For 2006, we're getting a bit more of a modern style, which is going to be where they live, other than, the next thing they do is an attempt at the past, but we'll get there in a second. But yeah, it would be in the middle of my ranking, but I've only listened to it once as of most of these here, other than a few that I touched back on again. But yeah, good record. No complaints.
So one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
They haven't done a lineup change. The most recent lineup change after this wasn't until Epitome of Torture, the drummer left, so it was still a while of the same lineup.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, Devon. It does finally kind of stabilize a little bit by this time.
Yeah, the lineup with Bobby and Berneman was probably the longest standing lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Okay, this next one, Alan and I discussed if we should include it. It is a re-recording, but they used songs that were not recorded on the In the Sign of Evil EP. So Sodom, Tom tried to get back the old lineup from the In the Sign of Evil EP. And they recorded the final sign of evil, as the LP as it was intended to be. So you've got all the songs from the EP and the songs they wrote for that one, and it is a fucking bloody disaster. I don't know what they were thinking. I've heard stories about recording the album. Witch Hunter was already pretty ill at that point, and he was drinking a lot of really heavy booze, and so he could record only for 10 minutes in a row. So yeah, and you can hear that.
It's bad.
It is really bad. Even the songs we love from that first EP, the re-recordings, they just suck. I think they should have never released that. Maybe now Sodom doesn't exist at the moment. Maybe they should have released it as an afterthought nowadays, but not at that time. Nah, it's just simply not good.
I also heard there was a considerable amount of trying to fix Chris's drum performance, and even as bad as it sounds, how bad was it? Because there's a lot of parts on that record that's like, whoa, he wasn't this bad on Obsessed by Cruelty. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, and at that time when they did the re-recording, it was clear to the other band members, so Chris Witchhunter and Grave Violator, were made clear this is only going to be a one-off. And Chris Witchhunter was hanging around in his bars, drinking and telling people he was in Sodom again.
Yeah.
It's a sad story.
It's sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to get it on vinyl.
All right, Devon.
So for years I avoided this, but doing the stream gave me a reason to buy this for cheap. I should have saved the money. This kind of blows. This isn't very good. And the production, they did like fake raw production to make it sound older. I don't know why they did that. They should just let it be how they sounded currently instead of trying to go back.
That was my thoughts too on this, Devon. Listening to it, I'm like, I get them trying to rekindle that cult persona, but you already did that. Make it sound in your modern style. I think the cult nature of the music would carry over. Give it a good production. That's what a lot of these bands do. This is to improve upon the mistakes of the past, which Obsessed by Cruelty in that era that didn't have a great production. So there were mistakes then.
Have you heard the 40th Year of Hell collection re-recording thing they did from a couple years ago?
Yeah.
They took one song from every single album and re-recorded them. That I actually really liked. That was awesome. So, yeah. Easy last place. This kind of sucks. So don't buy this. Unless you're a completist like me when it comes to Sodom, but whatever.
Alan.
Yep. Yeah, it's a weird release because it's a re-recording, but it's not. Like Jurgen said, only a handful of these songs really got released the first time around. The rest of the tracks were scrapped, and In the Sign of Evil was only an EP. So it's not like they went back and redid the whole Obsessed by Cruelty album or something. They went back and did an EP and added all the songs that were supposed to have been part of that original session, but the label backed off and didn't fund the full project. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to go back to. Neat concept. And personally, I'm glad they gave it a try, that they did go back and get those songs finally put out. I like that Tom brought back the old members to do it, that he didn't try to do it with the current lineup. I think he did the right thing, saying like, hey, this is going to be a one-off project. Yeah, where you're not. No, you're not really in the band. You're here to do this one thing that we didn't get to do together back then, but we were supposed to get to do together. And frankly, I don't mind that they tried to do the raw production on it, because that's how it should have. It's how it would have sounded had it come out back in the day. I think it would be really weird if you got that old lineup together and tried to force them to sound modern and tight and clean on material that was written long ago. I think that might have clashed too much. I don't know. I haven't heard it, so I can't say for sure. But I personally don't mind that they did go for more the kind of necro type production on it. I think the real problem here is simply that those unreleased songs aren't that great.
They should have stayed unreleased. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that might have made interesting bonus disc for some other type of release. Bonus tracks thrown onto something. The Lost in the Sign of Evil demos kind of deal. Because there's just not really any tracks among them that hold up to the others. You can tell they definitely picked the best tracks, the strongest ones to put on the released version of In the Sign of Evil, and some of these other songs, yeah, if you were going to call this down to an EP, they did it right. They left off the stuff that really didn't or wasn't ready to go onto an album. I think that's the real issue here. I'm okay with the lineup. I'm okay with the production. But there's just, it's neat as a curiosity, but the material itself just ain't that great. So don't mind that it exists. Do I need to own it? No, I don't. But it was worth checking out. And I don't feel like this is one of those cases where the band just, did it on a lark or to, cash in on some kind of nostalgia vibe. I think it really was a case of this particular group was supposed to get to do this, so let's give it our best shot to make it sound the way we wanted it to back then. I'll give them points for that. Marty, your take on The Final Sign.
If you have been a long-term fan of the band, you probably heard these songs on the it's called Witch Hammer rehearsal tape. There you got all the songs already. So not necessary to re-record them.
Yeah, my whole point is most of these bands they re-record old stuff to get the rights back to their music usually, or improve upon the sound. And listening to this album, I had a lot of respect for the fact that they tried to keep it, even the guitar sound. It sounds like a shitty solid state distortion. It sounds like an 80s just guitar tone, really thin and sizzly. Tom is consciously trying to make it a little more evil, and his voice does great with it, by the way. I think that's the best. But just not only is Chris just off the mark on a lot of stuff, his timing it's bad. And it kind of puts me in mind of, Tom was saying if it wasn't for Venom, there would be no Sodom. And knowing that they were such a huge influence, I can see that Chris might have a little bit of respect for Abaddon, which there's a drummer whose meter sucks real bad. His timing is horrible. You watch the 7 Dates of Hell. His timing is like this all over the place. He just cannot hold a steady timing and that's what this is, but worse. And you hear the band go into a faster part, and Chris is stumbling, farting around, and knowing that they consciously went in and tried to fix a lot of his drum stuff in post-production, and it's still this bad. Oof. What a nightmare. What a train wreck. It must have been really hard to record this record. And, you want to reconnect with his old friend and, do something for nostalgia's sake. I can respect that. And I have enjoyed listening to it. It's listenable. It's kind of a failed experiment. At the heart of it, again, it's a sad story, and you were hearing a guy that obviously hasn't been playing drums. He's obviously succumbing to his demons, and it's kind of a bummer. But what's next? What's next, Jurgen?
So it's funny you mentioned Abaddon and Chris Witchhunter. They do the same thing. They are both left-handed, and they play a right-hand kit. Both of them.
Didn't know that.
Didn't know that?
No.
So yeah, like I said, sad story. Chris Witchhunter passed away, and Sodom released a tribute to Chris Witchhunter. This is an official bootleg. It has live versions, practice room stuff, pre-production demos, all of that shit. So
that's cool. Not cool. Cool in theory, is paying tribute to their friend, but
there are some very cool versions, like Conjuration live in Holland from 1987. Very cool, but all in all, not necessary.
But you got the vinyl.
Yeah, it goes for a lot of money today, so yeah. I kept it.
Fuck yeah.
So okay, same lineup they had before. They came back with In War and Pieces. Now on that one, they had a new producer called Waldemar Sorüchter. He was the guitar player in Technical Thrasher's Despair. He played in Grip Incorporated with Dave Lombardo. He produced Tiamat and Samael back in the 90s. This still sounds very good. Way too many songs on the album. Great songs on the album. And the main thing is Tom Angelripper is starting to experiment with his vocals a lot on that album. So if you listen to it and you close your eyes, sometimes he sounds like Tom Araya when he goes into that screaming style of vocals. So yeah, a very, very cool album, but with, I don't know, 12 songs. It's a little bit too long. But at least they did a song called Knarrenheinz.
Kenny.
So yeah,
Kenny.
good album.
You bastard, you killed Kenny.
The cover artwork is a little bit different. I think this is Eleanor Cantor cover artwork.
Is it?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Elleran Cantor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enora, I don't know how I say it.
Ernie.
Cool.
Eleanor Rigby. Oh no.
All right. Kellen. Suddenly transported back to Wednesday. Devin.
Logan?
Whatever.
So, like I said, this was my first to have a soft spot for this record. So it was mainly the cover art that drew me in, because that is awesome. You see the stuff in the background too. Is that the Agent Orange tank kind of maybe? So,
could be.
And this version also has a live set from Watkins. So yeah, great songs on here. Kind of, I would say it's going back to M16 style a little bit. So I could have followed that. So it's like the self-titled and that failed experiment didn't happen. So chronologically kind of doesn't make sense, but a cool return to that style. So yep, I have this ranked at number 6.
All right. And that's the first one you've heard.
Yes, this was the first one I heard. I think it was around the time Epitome of Torture came out, so I heard that one shortly after too.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, I agree with Devin. This one, in my brain, this one's associated with M16 in terms of overall sound and such, which means that I think it sounds good, but it also has the same problem for me personally, is that a lot of the songs just don't stick long term, and I don't know why they refuse to. They just haven't. So I'd probably end up ranking it pretty close to M16 based on that. But good album. The songs seem reasonably varied. I play it, and like the next day, I probably couldn't tell you what a single one of them sounds like if I didn't replay it. And I don't replay it. I just move on to something else. So it seems like a fine album in the catalog, just not one I've ever personally gotten attached to. Don't really have anything else to say about this one. Marty, what do you have to say about it?
I think there's some good and solid moments on this record. Again, this is one I've listened to once. It does feel a bit long, and one thing I noticed is a lot of these, there's good moments, but they blend in. A lot of these songs just kind of blend together for me. It's hard to really get any sort of feel, although it's all good. It just feels like there's some moments on here that are just kind of coasting on. This all boils down to the fact I've listened to it once. So, and this was probably midweek that I got to this one. So, I've been wowed by albums that were maybe a bit better than this one, but ultimately it's on my want list. I'm going to probably end up trying to get it because nothing was offensive about it. And I do realize I need to spend some more time with it, but yeah, there's some moments that all kind of blend together on here. But it still sounds like a solid modern Sodom record to me. That's really about all I have to say about it.
Okay. Another lineup change. So the drummer left after the last album and they got a new drummer. Again, a guy that was seen as the German Dave Lombardo. And they released Epitome of Torture. I think it's pronounced Epitome of Torture, right?
I think
Right.
so.
Yep.
Listen to the song. He sings Epitome of Torture. And they just found out it was pronounced right after the album was recorded.
Well, it's not your first language. That's a pass. That's a pass.
Yeah.
It's like what
And-
when Tom Warrior pronounced it like, apocalyptic raids back in the day.
Yeah. PV from Rage says some weird pronunciations of English words too, and some of his.
Oh yeah, it happened.
Yeah, Tom Warrior, Death-throned Emperor.
Yes, that's the best example right there.
Yep.
I even recognized that as a German guy. So,
Right on.
I think the album cover speaks for itself. It's busy. It's too busy. The album is as well. There's nothing that really stands out. The song SODOM, was that really necessary?
Well, so his name is VENOM, Venom.
Yeah.
They did the same thing.
Yeah. Waterboarding is a pretty cool song. The production on this is very sterile, in my opinion. So very ironed out. There's no hooks, no nothing that would tear you apart. So yeah, again, a very tame album, a very loud album, a very busy album, but not really a good album.
I kind of
My
liked it. All right, Devin.
I have a feeling I'm gonna like this one more than most people seem to. That cover art's not very good though. It's kind of a mess, but I think the first 4 songs are definitely Grammy stigmatized. Those vocals, they could have been on Tap in the Vein, not musically, but he was definitely doing the harsher vocals again on that song. So the Cannibal, Shoot to Kill Tomorrow, I agree it is a little bit too long. It's only 10 songs, but it seems longer than that. But probably the worst artwork though, at least one of them. So yeah. This is actually, I switched this in Code Red with my placement last minute, so this is number 5. It was originally number 7, but I decided to flip-flop those 2 last second, so yep. There you go. And unfortunately for me, after this, I like the 3, but for me, this is their last great record. The 3 after are good, but this is their last great one, for me at least.
All right, Alan.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to like the next 3 more than this one, so I'll be different from Devin as we go through those. Yeah, I kind of agree with Jurgen when it comes to this album. This one feels like they're trying to do a lot of stuff all at once, and it doesn't necessarily gel. You are hearing more and more tinkering with Tom's voice. You're hearing they're trying to do some melodic stuff again, but now it feels more crammed in than it did back on the self-titled album. This one, and I've owned this one for a while, but yeah, it's never really fully clicked. To me, it feels a little bit like, they were trying to do something closer to maybe what like Creator were doing around the same time, that they're going for that, stronger melodic, slightly, some people will call those albums, like slightly melodic death metal, but still coming from a thrash direction. And I don't mind that. I have nothing against that in theory. I just don't feel like it came together particularly great in this case. There's also, trying to look at notes if anything else. They're just doing a lot of different things. Shoot Today, Kill Tomorrow has more like a chugging groove to it, which is different from what they're doing with the more melodic approach in other tracks. So it feels like the album's, maybe a little scattered, a little unfocused. So not one I rank particularly high. Again, it's not like it's awful. I own it. I haven't gotten rid of it, but I don't think it's near the top of the list for me personally. So we got different opinions on this one, Marty. Where do you fall? You mentioned you kind of dig it. What do you like about it?
Yeah, when we started this week, when I started preparing for this week, this was the first one I put on. So I'm going to pick kind of a more modern album because I didn't listen to any of the stuff I already heard initially. I saved that for last. And the first thing that started up, I'm like, wow, really bright, modern production. The songs kind of ripped. And after listening to it more in pieces, this one feels like more of a lively follow-up. There's some good energy on it, good songs. It is a bit long. This is kind of a thing that Sodom is locked in on. Starting with the 90s, once vinyl started to subside, bands started putting more and more time on CDs. And a lot of times it's unwarranted. You just don't need it. I remember when CDs first started, I was excited to get them because of the bonus tracks. You get Fatal Portrait, it's got the lake on it. Ooh, shit, I could never find the 12-inch of that, so getting that CD, that was something special. Now, all these bands putting out 50-plus minute records, it's just like, oh, fuck, man. You got my attention up until about 40 minutes. 40 minutes for thrash, that's a good sweet spot. And this goes a bit long. Again, I've ordered it. It's on the way, so I'm going to own it soon. But I need more time. But I very favorable right out of the gate. I thought it was pretty good, solid, lively, modern sounding Sodom song album.
I guess one quick thing to point out about this one and some of the other ones in the catalog. It does, in terms of the length, it depends a lot on which version you get. Like if you just get the CD version of this album's under 40 minutes. But if you get the vinyl version, it's got like 3-4 extra tracks, and then it's up north of 50 minutes a little bit. So that may also be why some of us are hearing these a little bit different. I feel like by just random chance, the versions I've been checking out for the ones I either have or had to look up online didn't have all the extra tracks on them. So it's like, these albums are actually relatively short, whereas to y'all they feel long, but I think you've just heard the other versions I didn't hear.
Yeah. Streaming services, they can tack on stuff.
Yeah. Well, I listen to them, like on YouTube Music, but again, I guess just the particular one I clicked, it was a version that did not have the extra, wasn't taken from the vinyl versions. Wacky. Because like when Jurgen mentioned the song Waterboarding, I'm like, I don't remember a song called Waterboarding, and it's on the vinyl version, but not the CD version, and that's the version I've got for this one.
Right.
Yeah, it's not on this CD version.
All right, Jurgen.
So, next thing they did was the Sacred Warpath EP. It had one new song and a couple of live tracks. Nothing essentially. The song Sacred Warpath is good, but a little bit boring. So I wasn't expecting much of the next album being a belter. But
is that a tribute to Endless Pain, the cover art?
It looks a little bit like.
Kinda.
Yeah.
First thing I thought of. Yeah.
So instead of the you have Knarrenheinz instead of the creator.
Mm-hmm.
What is he? A sophomore guy? No. Sophisticated guy. What is the name of creator's mascot?
Violent Mind.
Violet Mind. Yeah.
Violent Mind. Yeah, right.
Ben's got it. Yep.
So yeah, I wasn't expecting too much of that next album, but they released Decision Day,
Cool cover.
and holy fuck! Listen to the vocals on that album.
Mm-hmm.
He goes back to what he did on Persecution Mania and Agent Orange. That is, he brought back the evil sound. The production of the album and the songs don't sound particularly evil, but holy fuck, the vocals on that album are fucking great. I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that. And yeah, the cover artwork done by Joe Pantagno who did the Motorhead artworks, stuff like that.
There's a little tribute to Motorhead on Snaggletooth on there. Look at those gas mask pipes coming out. It looks like a Motorhead cover. They made it like Snaggletooth.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Little tribute there.
Yeah. Great fucking album.
I have this one on the way too. I ordered this as well.
You'll enjoy it.
Oh, I did totally. Like, yep, this one's got to come home. Anyway.
So this is totally my fault. I don't know why, but for some reason of this era, this is the one I always kind of tend to forget about and don't play as often as like M16 or Self-Titled or Epitome or In War. Not really sure why, but just I say play those other ones more, but a good record, but not one of my favorites. I kind of don't like Tom's higher vocals. They're kind of weird sounding, but I get why you like them, but it's not for me. But I will say the opening in Retribution is definitely one of the best songs of the modern era. The title tracks are good too. Rolling Thunder, those first three are definitely the highlights. So yep, good record, but not one of my favorites. So this is number 13, probably way too low, but I need to listen to this more again. So yeah.
Alan.
Okay, now this one was new to me in the past couple of weeks. I just never come across it or checked it out. And yeah, this one got my attention right away. Like Jurgen said, all of a sudden, Tom's going back to that earlier vocal style, and it sounds really good. And Devon's right. They really picked the right song to lead this album off with. In Retribution just comes out and really grabs your attention. It's like, again, past three albums, it's not like they've been bad or anything, but they are ones I'd rank, a bit, lower. It's like, yeah, they're okay. But this one is just like, whoa, where the hell did this come out? It feels like, all the, energy is just dialed way up. The ferocity is dialed way up. And yeah, completely clicked with me. If I, go out, now I haven't ordered any Sodom albums like Marty has already. If I start looking things up, sometime during the holidays, and there's a couple of Sodom albums I want to pick up, this will probably be the first one I look for, because I really did like this one. I'd rank it quite high, but I'm very new to it. I'd have to play it some more. Maybe now that that initial impact has worn off, it might settle in a bit more, or maybe I'll continue to like it more and more. But I really do like what they did here. And once again, it kind of goes back to the point I was making earlier. They're always adjusting their sound a little bit. You never have more than a couple of albums back to back that stay similar to one another. This one to me feels like a break from the previous two albums. And while I don't like every move they make, I really do appreciate the fact that they keep making those adjustments, that they're not just, this isn't like the Testament catalog where you end up with like 3 or 4 albums in a row that just are like, they're all fine. If you named a song, I couldn't tell. I would need 3 guesses to figure out which album the song came from because they're just so similar. I feel like with the Sodom catalog, if you know it, things stand out and are pretty distinct. yet they never really deviate from a basic thrash formula at their heart. They don't have their groove metal album in the middle of the 90s that threw us off. They don't have a black metal phase or a death metal phase like Testament did. They had a couple of punkified albums, and the rest is really solid thrash. So yeah, I dig this one. Would rank it pretty high. Marty, what is your decision on this album?
Yeah, this is another solid effort for me. It's a bit long again, but it's I think that's why this week has been so painless as far as, just doom scrolling essentially an entire band's collection. There's a bit of variety, even though the overall core sound is still Sodom, it's still thrash. And that's another thing. They never really deviated. They, Tapping the Vein is the quickest they ever went. But they've never really done the blast beat thing. They never, tipped into more black metal. They never tipped into, little death metal touches. It's always been thrash metal, which in this day and age, that's kind of commendable because, thrash, death metal and black metal kind of overtook thrash metal back in the day. And it's nice to see bands coming back and doing things. And even the veterans, you get the New Testament record, there's a black metal song on it. Doesn't even sound like Testament. Here, Sodom sounds like Sodom. And I appreciate the hell out of that. Decision Day, I think, is a well-written album. Again, I bought it after listening to it. And modern, they're towing the line of thrash metal from the 80s, but they're doing it in a modern way, and they're doing it without forsaking their history, and they're remaining relevant. And I think that's great. And they're really locked in here at this point for 2016. I mean, that's great.
Well said,
even Creator. I mean, Creator, it sounds like Melodeath to me at certain times. It still sounds like Creator, but the guitars melodies have gotten very Scandinavian sounding.
Yeah, they've drifted a little consistently further from that core thrash sound than Sodom have.
And it doesn't suck, but no. I just don't find myself returning to it a lot. After I buy the CD, I listen to it a lot for 4 days, and then it sits on the shelf.
They're trying too hard to be anthemic for when they're playing the big festivals.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Whole lot of ballerinas in that music video. That's all I'm going to say. And I know what the song is about. I know it's supposed to have ballerinas, but still, it looks weird for a back creator.
Or just have to show Millie saying "fucking circle pit."
Circle pit. Yeah. Yeah. Jurgen.
So yeah. After that very, very cool Sodom album, I saw them live a couple of times on that tour, and they were awesome. They played their asses off. I was pretty surprised. Tom fired the whole lineup.
This is getting too good. Fuck everyone out.
Yeah, via SMS. He didn't even talk to them. He just wrote an SMS, said, "You're out. Fuck you."
Well, do you know why he fired the guitar player?
He fired the guitar player and the drummer.
Yeah, but do you know why he did?
Tom wanted to play more of the old songs and maybe do some Obsessed by Cruelty stuff and stuff like that. So they wouldn't do that. And he said, "Okay, then fuck off."
Yeah, he only wanted to play his air and Tom wanted to go backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, and at that point, it gets a little bit blurry. Tom's got a new lineup together. First of all, they released a split single, Running Wild and Sodom. The cover is pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Because it's got Adrian and Knarrenheinz.
Andy and Kelly.
That was an unreleased track from the Decision Day recordings. And then they did the reunion with Blackfire. And then this gets a little bit blurry for me. They released a couple of EPs. So Out of the Frontline, Trench. Couple of new songs, re-recording of Agent Orange, which is really good. Live songs. They did the Party Sun 10-inch with a couple of new songs and live tracks. And they did a re-recording of fucking shitty song Bombenhagel. And 2 new songs which were not released on the next album. And then they came back with a Genesis 19 with first time ever with a 4-piece lineup. So 2 guitar players. This one surprised me. The production on that album surprised me. It is very basic. It is very stripped back. The songwriting is just straightforward. And their new drummer, Tony, he is such a huge fan of Chris Witchhunter. He tried to a little bit emulate that sound with the weird breaks, and it sounds great. The rototoms are back on that album, which Chris Witchhunter used to.
Mhm.
Great. I loved that one when it came out. So yeah, actually Tony is a really good drummer. He plays in Dark and Nocturnal Slaughter Cult as well.
Oh, huh.
So
Cool
yeah,
Rule. I love that band. Good stuff.
drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I like the album that much.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All
Great
right,
one.
Devin.
So even if you didn't know there was a lineup change for me, I think you could tell right away just going from album to album because there's a different riff style on here. It doesn't sound like Frank's riff style though, so maybe it's the new guys contributing because I know he wrote some of these songs, but for me this starts and ends awesome, but the middle is kind of though some of the song titles are kind of dumb, like Rock and Roll. Dumb title, but that's a fun song though. Friendly
Yeah.
Fire, awesome closing song. Sodom and Gomorrah. So yep, this is a good record, but not one of my favorites. But cool cover art though. I love that painting. Sweet.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very detailed.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I need a T-shirt of that too. So yep. So that's my number 11.
Yeah, that's another Motorhead guy, Pentagonal painting.
Yeah.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, another one that's been new to me in the past couple of weeks. And once again, Sodom mixes things up a little bit. They don't just make a Decision Day Part 2 or anything. And yeah, they get Blackfire back, of course, around this era. That gets people very hyped. And they kind of, they go back to a more raw and primitive sound. But it does work. It doesn't feel gimmicky in any way. It doesn't feel like, hey, we got to go back to our roots for any particular reason other than that they wanted to try something in that vein again.
Yeah, it doesn't sound forced.
No, it doesn't at all.
Mhm.
And it sounds just like, okay. And I think part of it works because, again, I've gotten used to the fact that Sodom is going to change their style. So now if they want to change way back this way, it doesn't feel out of place. Whereas if they had made 5 M16s in a row and then did this, be like, that's a real drastic change for reasons. So yeah, this one's made a good first impression as well. Now I saw Daryl, aka Frosty, mentioned in the chat a minute ago that this was a big pandemic album for him that he liked at first, but he felt that it kind of wore out its welcome a little bit. I could see that maybe becoming a problem. Again, I'm new to the album over the past couple of weeks. It's really good first impression. This is the one album that I feel like does maybe run a little bit long. And I think Devin's right that it's just in the middle of the album, things start to bog down a little bit. And so I'm not sure how this will hold up with me long term. Maybe it's one that as I play it and revisit it, It holds up great, but I can see where I might end up in the same boat as Frosty and start to feel like, yeah, I like the idea. They executed it well. It was fun at first, but I'm not sure I need to go back to it a lot. It'll be an interesting one to see where I stand on it, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. But for now, I'd give it a really strong thumbs up. New lineup, different direction, but it still feels very Sodom.
So I will say, I think it'd be better if they rearranged the track listing, because all the slower songs are in the middle of the album. So if they spread those out more, I think it would have been more even. So they should have done that, not have the slow ones in the middle and the faster start and ended. So they should have spread out the speed songs. So that would be better.
That's a great point, Devon. I hadn't noticed that in the track list, but yeah, that would be why the middle of the album really does. Not only is, or maybe there are one or too many songs, but yeah, the fact that you're right. If the slow stuff's all compacted in the middle, that's going to really drag it out. Good observation. I did not pick up on that. Marty, what do you think of Genesis 19?
Another one I ordered this week. I thought it was pretty straightforward, but a ripping album. Really good, really well composed. It's funny you say new lineup. You got Frank Blackfire back in the band, which that's where that needs to be. That's where he needs to be. He fits. Watching some live stuff, it's just cool to see Frank back on stage with Tom doing it. I thought it was cool.
He's kind of sloppy though, from what I've seen.
So it's all right. It's all right. He's got the feel. He's been doing some videos here too lately. Just him playing some stuff. It's been interesting to watch that too. But I like the album. I thought it was really good at first listen. First impression was very positive. We all know that albums that have an instant payoff tend to don't go the distance, but I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it's on the way. My first impression was favorable. Where are we going next?
So next up, they had their 40th anniversary, and they did re-recordings of every album.
It's another Elleran Cantor cover, isn't it?
Yeah, and they combined the Contreras and the Executioner from the first EP.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool cover artwork, yeah. What I like about that, most bands, when they start re-recording songs, either they do a complete album, which most of the time is not really good. Prost. But on that one, they re-recorded the more unknown songs of the albums. So they start with Sepulchral Boys. They did After the Deluge. They didn't do Nuclear Winter or Ausgebombt or Christ Passion. They did Electrocution. From Agent Orange, they did Baptism of Fire, which I think is a really good choice. Yeah, overall, very cool in-between celebration of their 40th anniversary. And with that, they released a new song as a 12-inch EP called 1982. They go back with a cover artwork to their first demo tape. Yeah, another in-between EP.
That's just a one-song EP?
No, they did re-record Witching Metal, which has one of the best parts in metal history of all time. Metal War Sodom, Witching Metal. Listen to that again on the original EP. He says Witching Metal. They do Victims of Death, which is a demo song. Let's Fight in the Darkness of Hell. Yeah. Of course. And Equinox. So yeah, it is a 5-track EP. And last but not least, we've got the latest album, The Arsonist. This was strange. I saw the cover artwork, and when you see it in a tiny image on YouTube or something like that, you would think they're going for CGI, what do you call it, AI artwork. Not good. And I heard the first song, I think the first single was Trigger Discipline, and I fucking hated it. I bought it anyways. And now I love the album. It sounds...
Check out Jurgen's review on Metallurgy. It's around here somewhere.
That was not me. That was that bitch hunter dude. Yeah. If this is the final chapter of Sodom, they went out with a bang. I really, really enjoyed the album. Not one of my favorites, but a band moving on over 40 years and still putting out great material. Yeah. A little bit too long, maybe, but yeah. A tribute to Witch Hunter is on here, a song called Witch Hunter, and I love the fact that it is not a praise of Witch Hunter. It looks at the topic of Chris Witch Hunter in a pretty critical way as well.
Right on. All right, Devon.
So to me, this is kind of like Genesis continued on, so it's like part 2 of that album. So I agree. The Trigger Discipline, I liked it, but it's not one of the best on here for me. It's probably Scavenger maybe, or Battle of Harvest Moon. Honestly, I didn't rank this one because I'm still kind of absorbing it, so I need to give it more time before I can fully rank what this is. But if it is the last album, it's definitely a good way to go out, though. So yep. I like this, but it would have been cool in a different color. It kind of matches with this a little bit too much, so this doesn't stand out from the rest of what's going on. So I kind of wish they changed this, but yeah. It's a good one, point. But I don't know where I would put it though. So
yeah, that's a good point about the art, Devon. You're right. The background character Kenny runs together with the foreground too much. Yeah, I would agree. It took me a few listens, but this is a very solid album. This one, while there's some similarities to Genesis 19, I feel like this album's got more dynamics overall. That they're even just within the first couple of songs, you hear there's slower parts, almost doomy sounding parts here and there. Whereas the last album feels a little more uniform in the delivery. This one doesn't feel that way. So yeah, good album. Again, you get more of Tom A trying to sound like the other Tom A in the vocal delivery at times. You do have some more of those Slayerisms coming through, but it kind of stands on its own as a Sodom record. It doesn't feel like it's just a carbon copy of something they've done a ton before, even though they just kind of keep recombining pretty thrashy elements. They always find ways to do it a little bit different. And having worked through discographies for a lot of bands over the years on Metallurgy, I've come to really appreciate that. When I don't feel like I'm listening to the same album over and over and over, even if it's a good album, you get to a point where you just don't need to hear a band repeat themselves again. And here, 17 albums and 40 years later, Sodom's always done a good job of balancing that. So I think that deserves a lot of respect. I honestly do think that's a huge plus for the band, and they've done a great job with it up to this point. Marty, your take on The Arsonist?
I have something to add.
Please do jump in. Go for it.
A couple of people thought the sound is a little bit uneven on that album. That is probably because our ears are trained to more modern productions, and they went back to record it on reel. They didn't record anything digitally. They didn't use modified amps or something like that. They used real amps and a microphone in front of it. real drums recorded in a studio on reel. So that's why it sounds unreal.
Yeah, Carl and some others had mentioned like the guitars feel like they're pushed back in the mix a little bit, and I did hear that too on it. I don't think it's a major flaw, but it does have a different sound. Marty?
All right, for me, this first time hearing it this week, other than the clips I pulled for Jurgen's review, or I'm sorry, Jay Bitch Hunter's review. I think it's a really solid record, but first impression, there's nothing on it that is essential Sodom. But having said that, it's not bad Sodom. It's really good. It's a really solid record. Yeah, I enjoyed it. A lot of Tom does some Tom Araya worship on here, a couple screams here and there, which is a nice touch. Bit of nostalgia added to it. It's a really well composed. I liked it. I'm going to get it. Did I order this one? I might have ordered 4. I don't know. I went on. I've been so off the wagon and buying shit with money I don't have. It's so stupid. Collector scum. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, that's it for now. We'll see if I know Tom, I think, is having some health stuff going on. Hopefully they come back. What do you think, Jurgen? Do you think there's any hope for another Sodom record?
I just watched a recent live stream with him, and he seems happy to be at home at the moment, meeting his old friends from the coal mine, because he's getting older and he's getting maybe a little bit nostalgic. Sure. And if he would continue touring with the band, he knows his passing time is coming nearer, not near, but nearer. And he didn't want to end up like Lemmy. He's a huge Motorhead fan, but he doesn't want to end up like Lemmy and literally dying on the stage without having connection to his old friends. So he's getting back to his old pals from the coal mine 40, 45 years, 50 years ago. So yeah.
It's certainly a culture. You immerse yourself your entire life in music culture. It's a different way of life. It's a different way of life. And to want to get older, go back and find some normalcy, some security. That makes sense.
And he's a professional hunter, and he has a huge forest to care for. He has a family. He has been married to his wife since I think Persecution Mania. So
there was no lineup change in that department.
No.
Maybe you should have got her to play guitar on some of these fucking records.
No, she didn't get bumped for some of the blow-up dolls on the cover.
Yeah, right. Or she looked the other way.
I think he looked very, very happy, and he's happy to bring us reissues. Still, he's caring about that, but he can do it from home.
Yeah.
He still enjoys playing concerts, but he said, I don't know when I will return, but make sure for one last time I will return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's more than fair. The man's, lived it, for 4 decades. He's more than earned the right to take time off and just enjoy doing other stuff. Absolutely. Yep. All right, folks. So I think it is time. Now, Devon's done his rankings, but Devon, we'll have you review your top and bottom 3 for folks. So we'll each say what our top 3 choices are in the Sodom discography, and also our 3 least favorites. So
start with you, Devon.
All right, so my least favorite is In the Final Sign of Evil, then Masquerade in Blood, then Till Death Do Us Unite. My top 3, number 3, M16, number 2, Agent Orange, and number 1, Tapping the Vein.
Okay.
All right. Alan, what's your list look like?
Let's see. definitely some overlap with Devon, especially at the bottom of the list. So let's see. Bottom 3 for me would be Final Sign of Evil, even though I liked it in concept, maybe not in execution. Masquerade in Blood, and Get What You Deserve. And again, I don't think any of these are horrible albums. They're just in the Sodom catalog. Something's got to be last. The 2 most punky albums, I'm just not going to revisit those very much. And the Final Sign of Evil material, kind of the same. Cool to hear it once. Don't really need to hear it again. The top of my list is pretty vintage. Number 3 was hard to pick. There are several things that number 3 could be. Again, there are several of the albums I've really enjoyed, but I'm a little newer to. I almost picked Code Red as number 3, but I went a little more classic. So number 3, I've got Agent Orange, even though I can't not remember the Fallen. It's still a very solid album overall. Number 2, Obsessed by Cruelty. You guys suck. That album rules.
Oof.
It doesn't rule. It's okay. It doesn't.
I
rule,
like
but
it.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get why other people don't. But no, that album just is always connected with me. Number 1 is easily Persecution Mania. No doubts on that one. So those would be my top and bottom 3.
I'll let Jurgen go last. My least favorite is The Final Sign of Evil. It's just kind of a pointless thing. I mean, I think it's cool that they put some attention to this old material. It's just kind of a sad story attached to it, and the execution is not what it could have been. Second worst, it'd be Masquerade in Blood. I think that's kind of a given. And just above that is Till Death Do Us Unite. And again, I had a real hard time picking shit I wanted to put at the end, because even an okay Sodom record is still a good Sodom record. It just is. Masquerade in Blood, if it wasn't for The Final Sign of Evil, that could have been my least favorite. But even that, if you put it on, I'm fine with it. I'll listen to it. It'll be fine. My 3 favorites, I too went the old route just because I've got so much nostalgia attached to it. Tapping the Vein, number 3, great ripping album. Number 2, Agent Orange. That's just happier times, man. Happier times, good solid record. Number 1's Persecution Mania. That album is just the perfect mix of evil and unrelenting, excellent German thrash. So that's my list. Jurgen.
Okay, least favorite, Final Sign of Evil. Till Death Do Us Unite. And Masquerade in Blood.
We're
Favorite?
pretty much cheating each off each other's paper.
Favorites. I'm not cheating on that one.
No.
Code Red.
That's your number 1?
This is my number 3.
Number 3, okay.
Number 2, M16. And yeah, number 1.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Go ahead. We got now. We got.
Oh, I was saying good, we're done. So.
Oh, good. We're done. Yeah, I mean, this, like I said, Sodom, I think they could be, as an outsider looking in, they seem to me like a proper German treasure as far as music goes. Yeah, the big 4. Tankard, I think they deserve to be there, but they seem like the odd band of the 4. I don't know. They've been really consistent over the years. I haven't heard everything, but everything I have heard, right in the pocket. They have been Tankard since day one. But yeah, I mean, Sodom just really stands out as an institution for sure. They've had very few, if any, missteps. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree. That's been the thing that really stood out a lot, getting to fill in all the gaps in the catalog I wasn't familiar with. very consistent band, but they always found ways to tweak the formula. And other bands, that we could compare them to on the American side, Testament's been very consistent over the years, but too consistent at times. They have gotten samey at times. Creator and Destruction on the German side of things, they've had changes throughout the years, and they did some odd different things in the 90s, like Sodom did. But like you mentioned earlier, Marty, Creator does feel like they have drifted toward a much stronger and consistent mellow death element to their songs.
Like Devon said, more anthemic. Makes sense.
More anthemic.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Destruction. Yeah, I like the newer Destruction albums, but they feel a little samey. So Sodom somehow has found that comfortable in between of managing to not stray too far outside the boundaries, not do anything too weird, yet always sound a little bit different, and not you don't have these 5 album runs of like more of the same. So yeah, they've definitely kind of raised my appreciation a lot for the Sodom catalog, hearing the whole thing and now finally understanding how it all fits together. Definitely have, it's not that I ever didn't like them or didn't respect them. I just didn't know how it all worked. Now I do. And Sodom definitely gets big praise from me for the way they've handled their career.
Anybody else want anything?
Maybe last information. Talking about Tankard. Tankard has the longest history in playing live. They started playing live in 1982.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Sodom and Creator started playing live in 1984. That was the first gig. That was a Venom autograph. Venom didn't play there. They just signed autographs, and Tankard played, and Sodom played.
Huh.
And the Destruction guys were there, and the Sodom guys were that drunk, they said, "We are not ready yet," and they had Destruction play a couple of songs on that show.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Frankfurt Black Metal Night. I was 9 years old back then. I was not there.
You would have made it at 10, though.
Yeah. So, and the old bands played together a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What
Getting
Rage have been more of that?
Wild,
Go ahead, what?
revisit. Oh, I'm just noticing we're getting multiple folks asking for us to do Running Wild sometime in the future.
I'm totally down. Love that band. So good.
Oh yeah.
Jurgen, can you circle back
No,
around for
no, no, no,
Running
no,
Wild?
no, 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 no.
Jurgen has done a yeoman service covering not only Sodom with us, but I mean he covered the whole Rage catalog with us and many others over the years. Really appreciate
Yeah,
you
we
taking the time.
did Destruction and Creator, and I think I'm done with
Didn't we do
That
Rage
is-
2? We did Rage 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sure did.
So, quick question.
Yep.
For everybody. If you could pick top 5 favorite Sodom songs.
Ooh.
Nuclear Winter, My Atonement. I really like Magic Dragon.
Mhm.
Agent Orange. Christ Passion. I think that's 5. Old stuff.
Let's see.
the 3 songs of the Express of Sodomy EP. Definitely Nuclear Winter, and probably Conjuration. I forgot about that. On their second album, the song Conjuration is an old demo song. It was called Devil's Conjuration.
Hmm. I'm thinking. Let's see.
Yep. Blast Command 2.
Nuclear.
Here's a
nuclear
question for.
winter,
Go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
Nuclear Winter. Baptism of Fire. Death Like Silence. trying not to just pick lots of stuff from Persecution Mania. Miss Sodomy and Lust. Yeah, I think that has to be there. That's 4 off the top of my head. So let's go with 4. That's at least 4 off the top of my head. Pretty easy. 5th one could, if I have to pick something quickly, I'd pick something else from Persecution Mania. But what? It might be Christ. Yeah, probably Christ. Either Christ Passion or Conjuration. Toss up between those two for number 5.
What about you, Devin?
Okay, this might be a weird one, but Vice of Killing,
Okay.
I Am the War,
Mm-hmm.
The Crippler, Sodomy and Lust, and Magic Dragon.
Magic Dragon rips so fucking
Oh.
hard. That's such a good song. Intense.
Body parts. Let's see. Blast Beat, that's a good list too. Yeah. Body Parts is that's a really intense one.
Yeah.
Witching Metal, yeah. James, that's a
Got the
good pick.
surfing bird in there. Yep. Thanks, Captain K.
Outbreak of Evil, yeah, that's a good pick, Mark. Outbreak of Evil.
Oh, Hellfire Defense 2 is another favorite one.
Shellfire, that's a good call. Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, the palm muted
Saw's
crunching
Law.
on that, so fucking awesome.
Yeah. Joshua, I think a lot of people would pick Saw's the Law. Yeah, that's obviously one of the classic staples. Yep. A lot of folks shouted out Tombstone earlier tonight too. Good deal. All right.
Have you heard that song?
Satanic Anarchy? Have not.
What the fucking hell? All 3 Creator songs released until now suck fucking ass.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what's happening.
I'm done with Creator.
Yep.
Millie, if you're watching that, fuck you.
One too many ballerinas, Millie. One too many ballerinas.
Yeah, I'm sick of them
Yeah.
using Satan in every album. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, guys. Kill of
Yeah.
Jesus, come on.
So one last question before we leave, unrelated to tonight really, but Jurgen, why do you think they are so undervalued? I mean tankard.
Because they have the fun image.
Mm.
Yeah.
They started out pretty punky, but already with the second album, they had a 7.5 minutes instrumental on it, and that should have been the proof that they are capable musicians.
Their second
And they-
album is so good.
they-
Chemical
they
Invasion
still
is their best. I love it.
I mean, it's probably the persona of Gere. The guy that asked is a German guy, so I think that has a lot to do with the persona of Gere.
I think they're the German Anthrax, so maybe there's that too.
That's kind of what I was thinking, Devin. And when Jurgen
Yeah.
said they have the fun reputation, that's immediately what snapped to mind. It's like, oh, yeah, okay.
The
It's
music on. Go ahead.
Jurgen, how do you say pizza thrash in German?
Pizza Thrash.
Oh. Well, that was anticlimactic.
Well,
Let's call it Beer Thrash.
you
Beer
go.
thrash would make more sense, yeah.
Oh, by the way, Sodom is even more Beer Thrash than Tankard are.
That's something else that, kind of popped up. It's like, really, it seems like Sodom, would give them a solid run for their money for that title.
I've shown I should have pulled out the Tankard book as well. There's a book about Tankard. In that Tankard book, there's an old concert flyer when we played with Tankard, and Tankard wrote on it, "Next time, bring your own beer. You drink too much." that was directed at us.
Yep. Schooled them at their own game.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. thanks everybody. Please go check out Jurgen 6 Beers 9 Lives and check out Maze of Torment. Both channel links are in the description.
Yep. Again, Devon's already got his top albums of the year out video up. Folks are starting to come out with those, so go check out Devon's list, see what he's got on it.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do that as well. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. If anybody has anything to add, now's the time to do it. Nope. All right.
Any shout-outs for next week, Marty?
Yeah, next week, Album Club, we're going to be talking about Fear Factory's Demanufacture. And Friday,
we have a topic, but we don't have a guest. So we got to find someone who will work with a kind of a holiday themed topic we've been toying around with. We will see.
Right on. We'll be here. No worries. Yeah,
every Christmas song done by a German thrash band.
All right,
we
folks.
We have a whole album on that came out in '86 that has Christmas songs done by thrash metal bands like Living Death and Holy Moses.
Nice.
Really?
I have not seen that.
I have not seen that anywhere. Wow.
Yeah, and Tanker did I Hate Christmas, but that came later.
Yeah.
I share that sentiment. All right. Everybody, thanks a lot. You all rule. Thanks for the super chats, Miss A and Lee. We appreciate y'all. And
yeah, folks, go check out their stream with Shredbeard Sunday night live at 8:00. A lot of fun.
Hell yeah. Cheers. We will see you Wednesday. Reviews will be coming back probably the first of the year.
Yeah,
take a little break from them.
Released right now, so
there's a bunch of stuff coming out, but nothing that looks great to listen to. So just we're taking a little break, but we're going to be back for all the dozens of you that give a shit about the reviews. But cheers, everyone. We'll see you later.
Sodom and lust.
Chicken.